One of the aristocrats asks to accept his congratulations. A young man with pink hair turns to another man and claims that his third son turned 18 this year, and now it will be much easier for him having 3 adult sons. Well, the guy with pink hair says that he heard that the younger one never woke up, after which he asks if he hasn't done it yet. But in that case, he should stay close to his father and take his name into account. Well, by the way, he also never saw a guy at banquets on the occasion of his birthday, and is he really that shy? The brunette then understands that the guy would be laughed at for his stupidity, but still claims that unfortunately Bliss is in poor health. However, at that very moment the guy bursts into the room and turns to his father, after which he asks him to help. The man then wonders if this guy really wants to become fodder for gossip-obsessed aristocrats. The guy at this time turns to his father and claims that Shauna is not breathing. But now the Duke's family's attending physician cannot help her, so he asks to call the Harris family's physician. However, the man then asks who Shauna is, to which the young man is surprised, and one of the people claims that this is the guide. Bliss guides are magicians hired to help awaken mana. But the man at this time asks if his son is talking about this talentless conductor. He understands that his talentless son has the same talentless conductor, and a person born into a family of magicians must awaken before the age of 10. Awakening is the moment when a person is able to voluntarily call his mother, and the sooner this moment comes, the more powerful magic the awakened one possesses. However, Bliss should have easily achieved this at age 10. Well, in fact, I couldn't even at 18. And perhaps his awakening is progressing too slowly due to the poor abilities of the conductor who should stimulate this process, and of course they could have sent him a skilled waterman with many years of experience, but Duke Huff did not do this. No matter how much you water a grain or how much the sun shines on it, if it rots in the ground itself, it will never sprout. The third son of Bliss, in whose veins flows the dirty mixed blood, was the only disgrace of the family. The man also wonders why the boy who lived in silence suddenly decided to make this mess, after which he asks if his son made all the noise because of this. After all, if this girl has fallen into eternal sleep, then let him just bury her, and he will find him another guide. However, the guys answer that he does not need another guide, and Shauna has not yet fallen into eternal sleep, and her heart is still beating. However, the man then screams for the guy to stop. After all, why is he suddenly so fussing over a person who has done nothing useful and who even showed up at his older brother's birthday party with an inanimate body? So he asks what the young man's goal is, and does he really hate his older brother and want to ruin his holiday? The guy replies that it's not like that, and he just... However, the man at the same time screams that he himself does not realize his own insignificance and therefore can only envy, but in their family before him there were no such freaks. And the guy knows very well what shame is, so he should at least repent a little before his brother, although if he understood the whole important situation, he would never have done such a thing. The young man then wants to apologize, but suddenly he thinks, why should he feel sorry because no one cares about him, so why should he apologize? Today's celebratory banquet was opened in honor of Michael and Bliss's birthday. However, Bliss was not even allowed to approach him. The guy was angry and offended because he had never been present at the celebration, and it was suffering as well as patience and grief with shame. So the guy thinks what will remain of him if all these emotions are excluded, but he looks at the young lady and knows that she must live. So he bows and apologizes for his thoughtless act because he did not think about it. The guy also claims that he had no intention of disrupting the banquet out of envy of his brother, because he only wanted to ask for help since his guide's condition is extremely serious. And he promises not to bother his father anymore, only let him help once, because if Shauna survives then he will notice any punishment. However, the man screams that he does not even want to listen to his son and that he initially asked to call the Harris family doctor. But he asks if the guy really thinks it's that easy. After which he also orders that this inanimate body be taken away immediately and burned. The young man just turns around and screams that this cannot be done. After all, the girl has not yet fallen into eternal sleep. Then one of the butlers stretches out his hand. However, the guy immediately looks at him furiously, after which he begins to use his powers and screams for the girl not to be touched. The forces are starting to get out of control, and the boy's father at this time looks on in shock and thinks, is this really an awakening? Hello, is this ice magic? And the guy woke up only today and was able to master ice magic of such a scale. And if this continues, the entire banquet hall will freeze, so now the man screams for Bliss to stop. Well, the young man just asks if his father wants him to stop. But then he asks how he can do this since his guide is no longer breathing. And who else will help him stop? The young man then continues to use his powers, and the nobility are already worried about their lives. At this time, the man understands that this is not an ordinary awakening, but a situation of excess. When awakening in an abnormal way, just as a dam breaks, a person loses self-control due to the influx of mana, and a situation of excess occurs. But if there is no conductor, then as Bliss said, a person will not be able to stop this flow. At this time, the guy turns to Shayna and almost cries, and the main character at this time is thinking why he had to wake up right now. The girl also thinks how the hell can she fix this, but she screwed up her ice and thinks how could she fail like that. The girl also understands that her plan was flawless, but she did not think that she would receive such a stab in the back from Bliss. And Shauna wonders why his awakening came about, because of her immersion in eternal sleep. The girl recalls how the young man claimed that she was his guide and whose task was to instruct him, and the young man also claimed that his name was Bliss Huff. The main character then bowed and claimed that her name was Shauna and that she was pleased to meet young Mr. Bliss. The girl understood that she had to eventually agree to this. Again, the guy didn't know whether to be happy or sad that his incapable guide had fallen into eternal sleep while hunting monsters. Although, to tell the truth, she was not able to become a guide who had plunged into eternal sleep on the first page of the novel. Waking up after falling into eternal sleep, the girl saw an unfamiliar ceiling in front of her. In fact, she understood what had happened to her. Shauna was an ordinary good reader. Reading only 18-plus romance novels with Togo hardcore and being like that, she should have understood from the first second who she had possessed. But this is wavy pink hair, and amber eyes as if mixed with honey and a teenage face. Those who came to the maid's room called her Shauna. Well, the main character was then in shock, thinking what to do because nothing came to mind. And she doesn't remember a heroine with such appearance and name. The girl understands that she knows nothing about her and that she was either put into eternal sleep by an evil woman or perhaps she was kicked out of the house when the truth came out that she was adopted. The lady with pink hair understands that if she appeared on one of the pages of the novel she read, then the future will not be smooth at all, and in this novel, all the men were real psychos. Therefore, no matter what character she possesses, he will definitely be somehow connected to the main character, and if they are connected to him, then he will throw the young lady on the bed as the main character. At this time, someone approaches the lady and claims that she is a servant from the outbuilding, and she can also call her Anne, after which the girl also asks to allow the lady to be taken to the third gentleman. However, when the young lady approaches the place where the guy lives, she is shocked and thinks what kind of place this is. At this time, the maid says that the third young master's training will take place in this building, and that the young lady's things will soon be moved there. Shauna is then shocked and thinks whether training will really be held in such a place, and maybe these are closed training sessions for the main character. And now we can go back to the beginning when the guy claimed that the young lady was his guide whose task was to instruct. The girl was a little surprised then and realized that the guy had black hair like night, and also clear blue eyes. So he is very similar to the main character Bliss from Blue Flame Red Flame. Bliss, born into a family of mages and persecuted after being put into a crippling sleep by an inept guide, meets a new one in the person of the main character and successfully awakens. And now this inept guide is Shauna. Therefore, the girl understands that it turns out that she is a character who falls into eternal sleep at the very beginning, and she thinks that now it is clear why it is difficult for her to remember this girl. At this point, the guy asks her to start directing, and the young lady asks what he is talking about. Bliss replies that she is a guide and asks if she doesn't know how to direct Shauna. Then she thinks what it is. The young lady understands that direction in the novel is something she has no ability for. And most likely she shouldn't do this because in the novel, Bliss, under the pretext of direction, indulged in close acts of love with the main character day and night. Shauna then thinks that it seems like they are both still teenagers now, so it will be a problem to repeat what was described in the novel, and above all, she does not know how to direct. So the young lady only states that today is the first day, so maybe they should devote it to getting to know each other. But if she finds out what he is like as a person, then this will increase the effectiveness of their training. The guy then asks if the young lady wants to know about him, and the girl says yes. She also smiles and understands that you can't spit on a smiling face. However, the young man only claims that this is a lie. So the young lady thinks that if only he would smile. The guy's time answers that he initially knew that his direction would not go properly, and the girl asks what he is talking about. And the guy replies that the guide hired by his father is not someone from whom one can expect anything, and he did not think that the girl would be so young. After which he says that she is 15 years old, and it turns out that she has just received a certificate from the Association of Magicians. The older brothers were brought guides with many years of experience, and to him only a girl who is 3 years older than him. Shauna then realizes that if Bliss is now 12, then there are 8 years left before she passes away. The guy just says that his father doesn't have any hopes for him, and to be honest, if he were in his place, he wouldn't expect anything from himself either. And the main character understands that this guy is the illegitimate son of Duke Huff. The Duke believed that precious blood flowed through him, so he unknowingly abandoned the boy. However, it didn't seem like Bliss only had magical abilities. And the father began to treat the boy as an abandoned child from the lower class. Unable to keep his pants in place, the Duke cheated on him with a young servant, and this became the cause of hatred for the innocent Bliss. At this point, the guy insists that the young lady can leave. After all, in any case, there will be no benefit from it, so there is no need to imitate the conductor. Shauna then wonders if the guy is already giving up on her, but she didn't know that he would completely give up even before meeting the main character. But for this moment to come at the age of 12, that's why she even feels a little sorry for the young man, after which she grabs his hand. Well, when he does this, he is a little surprised because the boy's body temperature is not the same as that of ordinary children. Shauna also wonders why his hand is so cold. The brunette at this time claims that she won't help in any way, but the people with pink hair then tell the young master not to give up because making a large vessel requires more effort and time than making a small one. And this means that his awakening will take a little longer than the others, but the results of his blossoming will be so great that they cannot be compared with others. The young man then asks, a little surprised, how she could know about this. And why is the girl so sure of this? The young lady only smiles after this, and she replies that it is because she sees the young gentleman, although she thinks that it is rather because she read the book. But now he says that therefore the young gentleman should not doubt himself either. The girl understands that in order to help the direction of Bliss to proceed more effectively, Shauna began to live in his outbuilding. The girl also understands that since she is a conductor, her role is to educate and train the child who has not yet awakened. But if you look at the situation in a broader sense, then this is the task of a nanny and a home teacher, and in general, magicians from ordinary families mainly work as guides. And the more experience such a magician has, the more valuable he is, and the older he is, the more capable he is. It happens that some families hire young guides to conduct natural direction in a calm environment. However, Duke Huff did not hire her for this reason because he was Bliss's first guide, and he was going to awaken the boy himself. But the boy did not achieve any success even after reaching 10 years, so the Duke gave up. Now the girl understands that although he assigned a guide to Bliss, out of fear of condemnation from others, it is obvious to everyone that this was done to save money, and he introduced this girl even though she cannot guide now. But then the young lady also thinks how the hell she is supposed to input mana into Bliss. Shauna reads in the book that the first stage is that the conductor pours his mana through the tip of his finger and the student's mana reacts to it. The girl says that in connection with this, a light touch is inevitable, after which she thinks a little and realizes that as far as she remembers in the novel, these two were together for a long time, and this will not be enough for the appearance of mana. The girl understands that the mana contained in her body is right now passing through her fingertips. She's already trying hard to imagine it, but when he opens his eyes, he sees that nothing is happening. And she screams that it has disappeared, she can't put anything on, and today she has to do meditation. A little while later, the girl is already sitting opposite the main character and tells him to close his eyes, and also felt the mana flowing inside him. They claim that this is the first time such a thing is asked for during his channeling, but the main character only tells him to be quiet. and he concentrated after all this is a battle of his fortitude. The young man then asks if she is talking about the battle, after which he agrees. Shauna understands that she was dragging out time until she figured out the correct method of direction. However, Bliss meditates diligently all day long, which is why she is tormented by strong remorse. The girl understands that he cannot only meditate for the next 8 years, and of course she thought about how she could quit her job as a conductor, but now she cries out that the problem is with the lifetime contract. The girl understands that either Bliss must successfully awaken or she must fall into eternal sleep due to an accident, and she is allowed to leave the Huff family if one of these happens, and the girl thinks where this terrible contract came from that cannot be terminated. Well, of course, a lifelong contract is a common thing because it's rare that you can't wake up, and the conductor can't lose her job if she doesn't want to, but for her, the contract is still terrible. So, the girl thinks why she didn't switch places with the main character from the very beginning, after which she also thinks that maybe she should pretend to fall into eternal sleep so that the contract is cancelled, or find the main character who will take Bliss with her, or just hold on until the end without doing anything. But the girl also understands that she does not want to be around Bliss for a long time, because although he is undoubtedly a handsome and charming main character, he had a huge obsession and affection for the main character. In his unhappy life, a wonderful savior appeared in the person of the main character, and so that she could never leave, the guy carved a magic seal that would allow her location to be found. The main character, realizing that she could not free herself from him, gave in and completely closed her heart. And in the end, the novel ended with Bliss being happy to have only a shell of the main character. The girl understands that thoughts about this greatly exhaust her, and if the guy later meets the main character, he will have the same character as in the work. And the young lady does not know whether she will fall under his hot hand if she stays close to him, so she needs to move away from him as far as possible. And also, regardless of the original story, she will enjoy the life of a sorceress. The girl realizes that even if she fails to inject mana into Bliss, she can still exert enough magic. Well, at that very moment, one of the maids knocks on the mistress's room, and the young lady then wonders if it's time for class already. The city's maid enters her mistress's room, and the young lady understands that in this wing the workers always have lifeless faces, but the girl also wonders why the maid looks even gloomier today. The lady with red hair claims that today the young gentleman does not want to study with her, so let the whore rest. The main character is then a little surprised and wonders why the child who so wanted to wake up suddenly decided to cancel the meeting. And the girl also wonders if he has really figured out that meditation is useless, after which she asks if she can find out the reason. The maid replies that today the young master has been chosen as the keeper, but the keeper's condition is a bit peculiar. Therefore, it seems to her that the young gentleman was very confused. The young ladies then understand that he must not even have been confused, but upset, after which she gets out of bed and says that she will go to him. Well, the maid asks what she is talking about because the young gentleman said that he does not want to deal with the direction. The young lady notes that this is not what she is going for. The girl understands that there are no decent adults in this house, and no matter what the relationship with the head of the family and the workers, if the child is sad, then the adults should console him. And everyone pretends that it's none of their business and that neglect is also a sin, especially with kids like Bliss. The girl is now at the door and knocking. She says that it is Shauna. The young lady also addresses the young master. Well, the guy then replies that he said so, about not wanting to do the direction today. The girl understands that right now the main character is crying alone with a crazy obsession in the future. Shauna claims she didn't come for direction, and the guy asks why she came then, after which the young lady replies that she came because she missed him. The girl then does not hear an answer and understands that he must be worried about the keeper as well. And it would be too tactless to tease him, so now the young lady claims that she is joking and offers to talk. Regarding the keeper, well, then the young man opens the door, after which he asks if she is really laughing at him, because in her eyes he will appear funny. That is why she mocks him and treats him like a child. The young lady then wonders if he is talking about the fact that she is addressing him as a child, and he is 12 years old. The girl then replies that she was just worried about him, After all, the guy suddenly canceled the direction, so she began to worry. Bliss distinguishes that he is not a pathetic person about whom someone like her can easily worry. The main character then wonders if he wants to ruin her self-esteem with these words, but she thinks that this guy simply doesn't know how to recognize kindness, and this is understandable considering the environment in which he spent his childhood. Well, the girl understands that she is completely different from them. That's why now she claims that she is worried, because she is sad for him, after which the young lady asks him to think about the opposite situation, because what if she suddenly stops wanting to work as his guide and see him? The young man replies that she cannot do that because it is her job, and the girl replies that she can, if she is negligent towards her, and asks if he will not worry about her. However, the guy is only wondering why he should worry. And the main character understands that it seems that he really does not show any interest in her, and she certainly did not hope for such an attitude with the main character and crazy obsession, but she still has a few years to work for him. The girl also understands that in truth she is just an insignificant third-rate character, and she had already been in this place. For example, in a past life when she was a nobody and the girl thinks, will she really be such a person in this world? However, the young man only says that he understands everything, so let her stop. The girl is then a little surprised and asks what he is talking about, but the guy replies that he understood what she was talking about, so let her stop. The young lady then wonders if this means he no longer wants to see her and whether she should return. And after that, the guy just tells her to come in after, which the young lady does, so Bliss claims that he only abandoned his current assignment because he had other business to attend to and needed to learn about the guardian who had chosen him. The girl then asks if he chose him as a keeper and asks him to accept her congratulations, after which she says that if the guy doesn't mind, then can she look at him? And the guy replies, why not? The girl then understands that the living being that is born by absorbing the mana stored in plants and animals is the keeper. The guardian himself chooses the magician who will become his master and whom he will serve all his life. But if he falls into eternal sleep, then this creature also breathes its last breath and returns to nature. Therefore, it is very honorable for the magician to be chosen as a strong and faithful guardian. In the novel, Bliss, at a relatively early age, was extremely happy that the choice was his, and he was the first to receive the guardian that his brothers could have. And despite the fact that the guy has not yet awakened, but he already has unlimited possibilities as a poppy, but the girl thinks that disappointment should be as great as happiness. After which the young lady opens this creature and realizes that it is indeed an inconspicuous guardian. And that's why Duke Huff hates Bliss even more now, saying that he has trampled his reputation and his brothers are making fun of him. Well, the young lady knows what was in the novel, and this little ball of fur is nothing else. Like a snow-white dragon, possessing a white body and eyes like black pearls, and also with shining, opal-colored scales. This dragon was known for its beauty and its opposite cruelty, as well as ruthlessness. And besides, he has not shown himself as a guardian for a long time, and his existence is akin to a legend. A similar dragon appeared after several centuries and chooses its master's Bliss. Undoubtedly, the author decided to give Bliss the title of the strongest in the world, and if the guy knew about it, he would not be sad. The girl now turns to the young man and says that his guardian looks very handsome and strong. The guy is only surprised in response and tells the girl not to deceive him, and the young lady replies that she is speaking honestly, and it is true. After all, if you look closely, there. However, at that very moment, the young lady hears someone's voice addressing the young magician, after which she turns around and wonders who it is, and whether she heard it right. This voice then asks again if the young magician can hear his voice. The young lady then asks if the young gentleman by any chance hears anything, and the guy just asks what he is talking about. Well, at the same moment, this voice claims that its owner cannot hear it. At this time, the guy is only interested in who the young lady is talking about, and the girl replies that she is talking about no one. After which she looks at the little dragon and wonders if it really is him. At this time, the guardian of Bliss replies that yes, he is there. But it is probably interesting why he is talking to her. The girl is a little surprised, and the little ball of fur claims that he has a story that he wants to tell only to her. So he asks to be taken to a place where his owner is not present right now. The young lady then thinks what is going on and understands that until the keeper grows up, he will remain silent, and in the novel, nothing was said about the keeper having a private conversation with the incompetent guide, Bliss. So the girl thinks that maybe she should pretend that nothing happened. Well, the dragon also turns to the young magician and asks if she is pretending now that she can't hear him. He can't move so that she can listen to him alone. He also claims that this is a very urgent matter related to the life of his master. At this time, Bliss asks why the monster is making so much noise because a minute ago he was calm. The girl only claims that he seems uncomfortable there and his body is cold. After which, she also asks if she can immerse the keeper in warm water. The young man then wonders what she is talking about and asks what will happen if he drowns. And the girl replies that this will not happen because she will be watching him. And the guy replies that the servant should do this because she is his guide. They are a servant, and this kind of duty is not included in her job. However, the young lady understands that this is a matter of life, and on the contrary, it will be better if she does this, because it is difficult for ordinary people to cope with their guardians. And from next time, let the young gentleman do it himself. Believe me, if he feeds and bathes the guardian, they will quickly become friends. A little while later, the girl already buys the animal. The keeper only claims that he does not like icy and too hot water because it should be the temperature of the human body. The girl thinks how picky he is. And when he puts the fluffy one in the water, he asks if it will be so good, and the keeper answers that it is perfect. Well, then the main character notices that a black spot is forming near him, after which he thinks about what this evil aura is and whether magic is really flowing out of him in huge quantities. The girl also wonders what kind of power and anger is stored in him that he polluted the water so much. After this, Fluffy only claims that he slept in the ground for a long time, and the traces of nature that had been absorbed during this time came out now. The girl is then surprised and asks if this is really all is dirt. After which he thinks, what kind of nature is this if the water has become so dirty? 6 times the time he only wonders why it went away. After which he claims that now is not the time to make a fuss about personal things, and the girl replies that she does not think that such a quantity of dirt coming out of such a small body is a personal thing, after which the little dragon only tells her to stop chatting in vain and go there. The furball also claims that it seems that his current appearance does not scare her, but when he grows up, no one will be able to look down on him anymore, and the young lady notes that it is understandable, after which the fluffball asks if she really does not believe him, and the girl replies that no, and she believes, and in her thoughts she adds that it is because she knows his true nature. The guardian claims that his original form is that of a snowy white dragon, and he was born to bring peace to this world by fighting evil with the help of dark forces. The main character then claps and asks if it's really so interesting to leave, but she herself understands that she already knows about it. She calls the guardian of bliss the white dragon, and there was also an option of white snow, but it doesn't suit him very well, but the white dragon is just right. At this time, Fluffy asks the girl if she knows why he chose the 3rd son of the Huff family as his master, and the young lady asks if it is because the young master has a huge potential of mana hidden in him. Fluffy replies that everything is exactly like that, and if the conductor noticed it, then he cannot look down on her because of her youth, because she probably feels mana too, but then she should know about his master's problem. The girl then thinks how she should know, but understands that she cannot answer so rudely. So he thinks that maybe he should just nod, and the fluffy one at that time replies that his master's mana is completely blocked, to which the girl is a little surprised, and realizes that she is hearing about this for the first time. And he thinks, isn't it because of the incompetent guide that the guy woke up late? Fluffy claims that for this reason he spoke to her, and now his master is not deceiving at all, so he is not able to hear his voice. Well, the young lady then asks if his mana will ever be free. The girl understands that the guy will wake up in a few years when he meets the main character, so it is stated in the novel, so there is no need to worry about it. The white dragon replies that no, and if everything is left like this, then the owner will not be carried out until the end of his life, or he can do it in an abnormal way by entering a situation of excess. But now, the situation is extremely dangerous. After all, the mana accumulating inside his body is causing him harm, and soon his owner will not be able to hold it inside himself. And then a fatal outcome is possible. But the young lady then asks, what if the awakening goes well and the memory is in order? The dragon claims that even with a successful awakening, the main problem will not be solved, and in this case he may soon be plunged into eternal sleep. The young lady thinks that this cannot be, and it turns out that the guy will fall into eternal sleep in any case. The girl understands that books begin to forget her a year or two after Bliss awakens. And this means that although it is not mentioned in the novel after its completion, Bliss will die and plunge into eternal sleep. But the guy has a very unhappy life. Fluffy, at this time, claims that therefore, in order to prevent his master from falling into eternal sleep, he needs the help of a girl as a guide. The young lady then becomes worried and asks if she must participate in this, and also if it would not be better if instead of the useless and inexperienced her, the snow and white dragon helps the young master. However, he replies that it is not, and he will not be able to perfectly control his mana until he grows up, and if in his current state he touches the owner of the mana, then they both can plunge into eternal sleep, after which the young lady tells him to grow faster, but the fluffy one replies that he cannot accelerate his growth, which is laid down by nature, and when he reaches maturity, then for his master everything will be over, but then he asks why the girl is against it. The young lady then is about to say that she does not want to, but stops and claims that it is because she does not know what to do. Fluffy then asks if she knows, and claims that as a simple guide, let her do her job. The girl then asks to do her and everything as now, but understands that if she continues to do what she does, then Bliss will simply plunge into eternal sleep at an early age. Fluffy turns to the young magician and asks if she noticed that his master's body temperature is lower than it should be. The girl replies that she doesn't know why his hand was cold. The dragon then says that this cannot be, and the boy gave birth to a son with a huge amount of mana, but it cannot circulate, because of which the Chalya has stalled, which negatively affects psychological and physical health. In addition, his owner does not show his emotions. He holds them inside, and this habit was formed due to the restraint of mana. But the guy himself doesn't know this. The young lady then thinks whether it turns out that the guy has such a character from the novels, but in that case, if the problem with mana is solved, then Bliss will not become a character with a sick attachment. The dragon at this time turns to the young magician and asks what she thinks and what is easier to do: start the cycle of accumulated mana or show emotions. The girl then claims that she believes in showing emotions, and the dragon replies that she is smart because this is right, so the girl will help his master to show them. The young lady then wonders in shock what the dragon is saying if his master becomes skilled in expressing his emotions. It will become easier for him to suppress mana, and he asks her for a not very difficult favor. After all, a girl can raise the body temperature of her owner using her own heat, but now his temperature is below normal, but with a warm body it is easier to relieve tension and show emotions. But then the fluffy one asks why the girl has such a face, and the main character understands that this is the way the main character has taken in relation to Bliss, and she warmed up. His acoustic tells her to do it now. The young lady claims that the young gentleman is 12 years old and asks the fluffy ones if she thinks he doesn't know that. The young lady only claims that she is 15 years old, so nothing will work. The girl understands that even if it is a fantasy world, she will not step over her moral principles. After which she screams that she definitely won't do this, and how can she do such adult things? Fluffy then tells her to wait, after which he says that it looks like her appearance is deceiving, and there is a treacherous snake inside her. And he also asks what the girl was thinking about, because he meant that she should warm up his master by holding mana in her hands, and that they should only hold hands, but they are pathetic people who follow their desires regardless of age and gender. The girl then says that perhaps she is asking if there will be an effect from simply holding hands. Fluffy replies that although this is a simple method, if you repeat the process regularly, it will work. Physical condition and mana are closely related, so if the blood circulation in the body helps it warm up, then it will be easier to activate mana. The dragon also claims that body temperature can be changed both directly and indirectly. But as he understands, the girl has a talent for irritating his master. And he doesn't say that the girl should make him angry, but in order for him to show his emotions like a child, she must build a support. That's why he asks the young magician to do it. Besides her, he has no one he can trust with such a request. The same applies to his master. The girl then understands that she has no choice for the main character to appear except to help him. And at this time, the fluffy one claims that his owner is coming. The young lady then looks at him in surprise and wonders if he is pretending to be cute in front of Bliss. At this time, the guy asks why it took her so long because he thought that they both drowned. The girl then wraps up the fluffy one, apologizes, and then claims that she is already on her way. At this time, the dragon turns to the young magician, and he claims that he is looking so that she should try once, and shared her warmth with its owner. The young lady then wonders what he is talking about and whether it is really necessary to do this right here. The guy just looks at the girl in bewilderment, and the young lady thinks she doesn't even know. After which, she turns to the young master and asks if he can support the keeper. The guy then looks at him a little surprised, and she wonders if the girl really calls this white ball of wool to its keepers. But then he just agrees and takes it in his hands, and the young lady then wonders why his hands are so icy. The young man asks if they are icy and separate people. He answers that yes, and they are very cold, but that is not good. After which, she takes the guy by the hands, and he just asks what she is doing. Shauna replies that she is warming his hands because hers are very warm. The girl understands that the heat comes with the mana, after which she just closes her eyes and tries to concentrate. The young man watches this with a little surprise, but then his hands shake, and the main character thinks that it looks like there was just a reaction, but she also doesn't understand whether it worked. However, the guy at this point just turns around and claims that this is not necessary. The girl then turns to the young gentleman and tells him to wait. But when the guy runs away, she only turns to the keeper and claims that it looks like she ruined everything, and the fluffy one replies that no, and she tried hard. For 2 weeks, the girl changed her method of direction to the one suggested by the white dragon, and tried to warm Bliss's hands by taking on the role of a grandmother caring for her grandson. But the result was always the same, so one day she consulted with the white dragon. The girl whispered that if she continues to touch the guy despite the fact that he doesn't like it, then won't it have the opposite effect? And the dragon claims that if she doesn't cope, then the guy will fall into eternal sleep, and what will she do then? Shauna then asks if it is true that his life is in danger, and the fluffy one replies that she should do it naturally with all her heart, and it is useless to help only out of a sense of duty suits me. But he also speaks to you. The girl was not worried because there is a result, and the young lady asks where he is. And the dragon asks if his master's hands aren't warmer than before, and when she takes them, the back of the young man's head turns red. The girl then whispers that it's probably because he's angry, and the dragon replies that she is doing well, so let her anger his master even more. Shauna then does not understand at all what the white dragon is talking about. But every day she was worried that she was causing inconvenience to Bliss, but now she has good thoughts about today. Because today the practice will take place outside, and in the past, she vowed never to be called training outside the home. After all, she was a typical homebody, but there, everything is different. And in this world, she has no telephone, no TV, and not even a computer. And in other words, she's going crazy with boredom there. That's why she really liked the white dragon's offer to train outside, after which she wonders why she didn't think of this before. The girl understands that of course they will not go to the city, but will only take a walk near the outbuilding. The guy is just waiting for the young lady at this time. After which he asks what kind of basket it is, and the girl replies that it is a snack in case they get hungry. The guy only says after one that if anyone sees them, they will think that they are going on a picnic. After which he also claims that no one is in charge of this place, which is why the garden is a bit neglected, and the young lady wonders if he is ashamed to show the unkempt appearance of the garden, after which he claims that it doesn't matter. After all, they go there for direction, not for a picnic. After this, the young man simply turns around and moves on. A little while later, they already come to the garden, and the young lady realizes that this is not a little neglect, but a complete mess. After which, the girl also suggests going into the shade, and they do so. The young man then lays his jacket on the floor. Well, when he notices the young lady's gaze on him, he asks, "What is going on?" And the girl, a little surprised, asks if he really took off his jacket so she could sit on it. The guy replies that a gentleman cannot allow a lady to sit on the bare ground, and if she doesn't want to sit, then that's okay. The young lady immediately says that she will sit down and thanks the guy, after which she claims that he is very caring, so she is sure that in the future he will be popular with young ladies. However, the guy only asks not to say such strange things, and the main character wonders if he was embarrassed by the compliment. The dragon at this time turns to the girl and tells her to continue talking and also to embarrass his master, and also let her steal the soul of a teenage boy completely with stories about girls. The main character is then a little surprised and realizes that she doesn't want to do this, but she has no choice. After which she also claims that she is sure that when the guy grows up, he will meet a beautiful girl and fall in love with her, and such an amazing and kind man will steal many hearts. However, the guy only tells her to shut up, after which he asks if she would like it if he talked such nonsense like how she would meet a good man and fall in love with him. The young lady replies that she thinks that when she like him grows up, she will meet a wonderful man and fall in love with him. And when he meets a good girl, he will rather marry her without looking back at other ladies. Well, then the young lady looks at the guy a little surprised and asks what's wrong with him. Because he looks sad, the young man then only asks if the girl thinks she will be able to leave this outbuilding, after which he claims that this is written in the contract, and if he cannot wake up, then she will not be able to leave there either. So maybe they will be locked there forever and everyone will forget about them. The young man also claims that he had long suspected this, so it's okay. Well, she believes he doesn't know anything since he starts talking about such unfamiliar concepts as love and marriage. The girl is then a little surprised, and he wonders why he says such terrible things. And also, why does he tell her to prepare for a terrible end with him, and probably he firmly believes that he will not be able to wake up. But it is so sad that he has such pessimistic thoughts about his future. But the girl understands that she is not going to fall into despair and claims that they are doomed, after which the young lady claims that he will wake up no matter what. So let him try to think only about his awakening, and she will definitely meet a young, handsome man. With broad shoulders and a sculpted press, the guy then asks how she can speak so openly and vainly, and the main character just says that enough talk, after which he suggests starting the lesson. The guy then looks at her a little surprised. A little while later, he leans against a tree and sighs. The main character says that the young gentleman tried hard, so let him eat some cookies and rest. And the young lady also offers to wipe him with her approach, but the guy replies that it is not necessary and that he can do it himself. Well, at that very moment, he starts coughing from this cookie, and he asks why it is so strange. The lady with the boat on her face answers that there is nothing strange about it, so he can eat anything. Shauna realizes that she didn't want the cookies to taste normal, so she added a pinch of magic to them, but in her past world, such sweets were very tasty and popular. So now the young lady claims that, frankly speaking, it is a cookie. However, the guy then interrupts her and asks why the girl is doing all this, and whether even his guide is trying to make fun of him. The young lady immediately screams that it is not at all and it is just a joke. Shauna also asks if the texture of the cookies is not interesting because where she lived, that is in that distant country, this kind of cookies were very popular. The young man then asks if melt-in-your-mouth cookies were popular, and the girl replies that they are true and that they are incredibly healthy, so everyone likes them, after which the girl tries these cookies and realizes that they turned out quite similar. And next time she'll make it harder. The guy just sighs at this point and asks if the lady knows that she looks like a mutant Shauna, then wonders if the guy is really trying to insult her. But the young man claims that she doesn't quite fit into this estate. Well, then he also notices something near her lady's hands and asks what it is. The girl replies that it is a wreath, and she claims that she made it herself, after which she asks if it is beautiful. The young man then answers that he will not wear it even under the threat of falling into eternal sleep, and the main character then asks him what he is talking about. The girl also wonders if the guy thinks that she made the wreath for him, and he thinks why he makes premature conclusions, but he also called her a mutant because, in my opinion, she does strange things. But the girl understands that since things have come to this, it is worth taking advantage of this situation, after which she turns to the guy and suggests that he wear the wreath just once. The guy only says that the girl should not come up to him, but the young lady claims that the flowers really do suit him. However, the guy then screams that it will suit the girl and not him, after which the young lady is a little surprised. But the guy is just embarrassed, and the main character thinks whether the pirate is giving her a compliment or an insult. But then she turns to the guy and thanks him, but claims that she would like to give it to the gentleman and keep it for herself. After all, his hair color is like night, his eyes are like the ocean, and if you add the color of the local land, wouldn't you get a perfect combination? After which the young lady is already about to put the wreath on his head. Well, at that very moment, someone comes up to them and says, "What an interesting sight this is." The young man then turns to his father a little frightened, and the main character understands that this is a person. He is Duke Jonathan Huff. The man only claims that he came to see why the guy left the outbuilding with his guide, but it turned out that he left in order to chat and have fun. The young man then bows before his father and apologizes. Well, the man just says that he shouldn't call him father because he doesn't want to acknowledge someone like him as his son, after which the guy apologizes again. Shauna realizes that Bliss hasn't objected once and he's being too submissive. So the girl thinks how cruel the Duke is to the guy that he can't utter anything except one thing, "Sorry." After which the young lady turns to the Duke and claims that it seems he has misunderstood everything. After all, it was she who suggested that the young master organize training outside, and nature has a good effect on the circulation of mana, which increases the chances of awakening, and for this reason they practice outside the home. The young master spent a lot of effort on perceiving natural mana, so they took a short break to restore his energy, and the girl claims that such a noble and great magician as he should know that the mother originates from physical strength, and the man then asks if this is really so, after which he asks if this wreath is also part of the practice, and if she seriously believes that the woven flowers are worn on the head. Helps to feel man better, and did her teacher teach her this? The main character then tries to say something. However, the young man only grabs her hand, and the main character looks at the young gentleman in surprise, after which he asks, "What is it?" However, the young man only bows and claims that he behaved stupidly and that it will not happen again. The young lady is a little surprised, and at this time the Duke turns to the guy, and she tells him to think carefully about his situation, and also asks him not to disgrace the Huff family anymore. Bliss, with clenched fists, insists that he won't make him worry anymore. A little while later, the boy picks up the dragon in his arms, and the young lady tells the young gentleman not to worry so much. The guy then replies that it's good, and he says that his efforts are useless anyway, so she too should stop involving herself in this hopeless matter. The young lady then does not know what to answer. After the ban given by Duke Huff to leave the house, Bliss developed a fever, so the guy could not leave not only the outbuilding but even his own room. The young lady understands that since it was not mentioned in the novel, it means the illness is not so serious. But she thinks that the problem lies with the workers, whether it is the main building or the outbuilding. They try to avoid the Duke's eye, and the girl is afraid that the workers are also avoiding Bliss. So the young lady wonders if the people around Bliss care about him. After all, she has to find out, after which she asks one of the maids what Bliss's condition has been lately. The maid replies that the temperature is still high, but there is great discomfort, and the young lady asks if the guy is eating well, to which the lady with red hair replies that she does not know about it. And the main character understands that they bring him food, but don't know if he's there, and isn't it their job to know if he's eaten and taken his medicine, after which the girl asks if they know if Duke Huff called the doctor. The maid replies that she is also not aware of this, and that she was hired only to work in the outbuilding, so she had no opportunity to cross paths with either the estate workers or the master. Well, the main character then says that there is a person who reports to Duke Huff about the young master. Well, the maid is a little surprised, and the main character understands that this is it, and that's what she thought. After all, on the day she left home with Bliss, the Duke appeared too unexpectedly. Now the girl asks to convey to him in detail about the condition of the young gentleman and claims that the third son of the Huff family has been ill for a week, and during this time no measures have been taken. The maid then thinks that this girl is too persistent, and she was all assigned to this dilapidated place, the outbuilding without her desire, and now some girl is trying to teach her as if she is the mistress there. But even though her family has fallen apart, she is still the daughter of a baron, and she does not need to try to please this commoner, so now the maid claims that she will take this into account. However, she claims that the girl is not a worker in this wing, and everyone has their own duties, so she suggests not to interfere with each other's work. The young lady then wonders if the woman is really talking about everyone doing their own thing, after which she claims that she knows that the maid considers her to be a rather arrogant conductor with poor abilities who is also a commoner. However, even if this is so, she still cannot neglect the young master, and the girl asks if she really thinks that if the guy gets sick, then she does not bear any responsibility for him. A woman when she answers no, and the young lady claims that, of course, this is so, because young Mr. Bliss is the owner of this outbuilding, and they were all hired to serve him. After which the girl says that, by the way, isn't it time to take the young gentleman dinner? After which the young lady says that she will do it, and the maid is a little surprised and then claims that it is her job. Well, the girl only says that, judging by her words, if she really does not look down on him, then she definitely does not know how to take care of a sick person. And since she has experience in this matter, she will help. The main character then thinks that Anne should smile like her. A little while later, the main character is already knocking on the gentleman's door and claims that she brought him food. However, the guy only tells her to leave and go away. Smart people understand that even though he has a hoarse voice, since he is able to answer, the disease is going away. The girl also thinks that she went too far with Annie. Well, at that very moment, the young ladies hear some kind of rumble and are a little surprised, after which he turns to the young gentleman and runs into the room. But the guy is already lying on the ground and breathing heavily. The main character then runs up to him and says that he is all on fire, but the young man only asks why Shauna is there. The main character then apologizes and claims that she should have come to him earlier, but the guy just takes her hand and asks why she is apologizing. After all, she didn't do anything wrong. The main character then turns to the young gentleman with a little surprise, but then realizes that he has fallen asleep. At this time, the dragon also turns to her and asks why she came only now. The girl then asks if this is the keeper, and he only claims that he thought she would come earlier. The main character then apologizes and claims that she hopes the young gentleman ate well and took his medication on time. But the fluffy one only replies that he hardly ate anything, after which the main character thinks that it's good that she came. The girl also looks at the guy and says that it looks like his temperature is not dropping due to exhaustion. And the fluffy one claims that it is more likely that he is not recovering because of psychological problems, because as she noticed, his owner is gradually changing thanks to their efforts, and at least a little the door to his soul has opened. However, after meeting his father, he slammed it shut again, and now the guy has no desire to get well. The main character then looks at the young man in shock and thinks, how is this possible? A little while later, the guy already opens his eyes. After which he thinks that his body feels unusually light, so he wonders if the fever has subsided, after which the guy also turns his head. Well, then he sees a young lady next to him and asks if this is Shauna. The guy also wonders why she is there, and also was the girl really courting him? Well, then the guy suddenly hears the voice of the dragon who says that what happiness this is because it looks like the master's condition has improved a lot. The young man immediately gets out of bed and asks who said that, and also, did he really hear things? At this time, Fluffy is only scared. And at this moment, the guy turns around and looks at Shauna, after which he remembers how when he had a high temperature, he claimed that he did not want to go to that house, and he did not like all those people, and it was also very scary there. The young man also claimed that he would do as she said, and that he didn't need anything, so she should just not leave. The main character then took the guy's hands in hers and insisted that she would not leave him and will be there with the young master. Now the guy just looks at the young lady and then sighs, and he thinks that he is a little tired, and also that he has no strength at all. So he thinks he will lie like this for a little while longer, after that time passed and the season changed. It was also Bliss's 13th birthday. Before the evening banquet began, Shauna sat quietly in her bedroom. In such a mood, the girl thought, what is the point of waiting for the banquet again? Everyone already knows how it will go. The maid will simply insert the candle into the cake and then blow it out. Bliss and Michael were born in February. Because of the difference of several days, the brothers always celebrated their birthdays together. And although the holiday was officially dedicated to both of them, the main hero of the occasion was always Michael. And when Bliss entered the banquet hall, the Huff family pretended to be strangers to him, and the guests whispered behind his back because of this. Bliss's departure looked more like an escape, after which the boy returned to his outbuilding and spent the rest of the day in bed. Not a single person congratulated him, and gifts are out of the question. So the young lady thinks how poor this guy is. She thought about throwing him a special birthday party, but immediately dismissed the idea because no one wants to celebrate their birthday alone. The girl also understands that such a scenario would hurt him even more. And now, looking at the box in her hands, she wonders if this will also be useless. The young lady realizes that since she can't celebrate her birthday with Bliss, she'll at least give him a gift, but an unusual one, not to mention the use of magic. And during its creation, she had difficulties, so she asked the white dragon for help. Now the young lady understands that she just needs to give it to him quickly, and that's it. After which the girl enters the young gentleman's room and asks if he is there. Well, the room turns out to be empty, and the young lady wonders if he really isn't there. And he also thinks that maybe he went to the banks to organize. But in the book, it is clearly written that Bliss is not welcome at the banquet, and therefore he is definitely not there. Well then, Shayna understands that perhaps the young gentleman gained confidence, and that is why he went there after all, because recently she albeit vaguely felt his mother. And the white dragon said that the guy heard his voice. So now that she felt a minute, she really wants to brag about her achievement. But in any case, the guy is just a 13-year-old teenage boy. So she heads to the banquet hall and realizes that she should go look for him there. The girl also understands that she does not want to catch the eye of the Huff family, but on the other hand, she is curious about what they look like. 2 older brothers. In the novel, it was said that they were beautiful, but not as beautiful as Bliss, and besides, if she manages to see them, the girl will have a rough idea of what the young gentleman will be like when he grows up. Young Lydia also thinks that most likely the brothers will not recognize her, so if she looks from afar, no problem should arise. At this time, the girl sees one of the servants and he then bows. He also asks for forgiveness and says that if the girl was invited, he asks her to state her name. The young lady then realizes that she has no invitation and wonders what to do, but then claims that she is the guide of young Master Bliss, that is the host of today's banquet, and her name is Shauna. However, the purple-haired boy then stares at her. Then he tells the girl to go through. The young lady thinks that this is great, and then thanks him. The main character then enters the hall, but at that very moment, the man standing near the door reports that the young gentleman Bliss Huff's conductor has arrived. The young lady then looks at all the aristocrats who are now staring at her and wonders what just happened. After which he turns around to look at this man and realizes that, of course, he did it on purpose. To make her look bad. A little while later, the young lady is already turning the corner and realizes that she has managed to hide from the eyes of the aristocrats, and now she decides to quickly find Bliss, give him the gift, and leave. However, when the young lady looks into the hall, he wonders where he is. Well then, someone comes up to her and asks what she's doing there. The main character then gets scared and wonders who it is, but the guy then turns to the young lady and asks what the conductor Bliss is doing there. The young lady then realizes that from his rude attitude, she can assume that he is the youngest of Bliss's older brothers named Michael. The girl then bows and states that she has come there to meet young Master Bliss. His brother then asks why the girl is there looking for him. And then she claims that people like her are not welcome here, and only aristocrats can come there, so neither she nor Bliss can be there. Shauna then asks for forgiveness and claims that she didn't know, after which she says that she will go then. However, the guy immediately pins her against the wall, after which he asks if she really says that she can come to the banquet dedicated to his birthday, and leave when she herself wants to, and without even doing anything. The main character then congratulates him on his birthday. And the guy asks if she is doing this only in words, after which he points to the box that the young lady is holding in her hands and tells her to give him the gift and go. However, the young lady claims that it is for young Master Bliss, and Michael only asks whether the gift on his birthday is not for him. The girl claims that it is also the birthday of young Mr. Bliss, and she apologizes for not having prepared a gift for him, but if he doesn't mind, she can prepare it a little later. However, the guy just snatches the box from the young lady's hands and claims that it is not necessary. After all, he wants this particular gift, so let her give it to him. The main character then wonders if he really just took the box, and wonders if he really is 15 years old because he is behaving completely inappropriately. The main character screams for him to give her the gift, but the guy asks what is so important that she is fussing so much, after which he opens the gifts and asks if these are gloves. However, the main character of the game not only tells him to give them back, The brunette then claims that they look like cheap gloves that can be easily found in the city, but then he also laughs and says that they are enchanted. After which he also asks what this spell is and let the young lady answer before he breaks them. The main character realizes how much she wants to hit this guy at least once. But then she realizes that she needs to calm down, after which she repeats once again that this gift is intended for young Master Bliss, and she only casts the necessary spell for him, and it has nothing to do with Master Michael. The brunette then claims that the girl is much braver than Bliss. But then the guy also asks why she thinks she can behave like that with him. He also claims that worms stick to worms, so why is she acting so brazenly towards him? And the main character then understands that everything is fine, and there are a lot of people there, so the guy will not touch her. Well, the young man only says that she also looks at him while continuing to hold her head high, so he asks how dare she. But at the same time, someone turns to Michael, and it turns out to be his older brother. The guy then asks if it's Henry. And his brother replies that they gathered for his birthday, so he shouldn't make a fuss. Michael replies that he didn't do it on purpose, and it's all because of that girl. However, Henry only calls the guy by name once more, after which he a little puzzled claims that he is talking about her, and the guide Bliss mocks him. Henry then asks if he is talking about Bliss's conductor. After which he looks at the young lady and claims that this is their first meeting. The guy also claims that he is the eldest son in the Huff family, that is Henry Huff. The main character then replies that she is glad to meet you and her name is Shauna. The guy at this time turns to the young lady and states that it seems Michael is causing her a problem, after which he asks what happened. The young lady then realizes that she shouldn't have caught Henry's eye. After all, she wants the others, and it seems that the guy doesn't have any negative emotions towards Bliss. But in reality, he does not respect him from the bottom of his heart and also ignores him after the young master awakens. Henry began to suffer from an inferiority complex, and he could no longer torment the younger one, which greatly tormented him. Therefore, together with Prince Fabian, they plotted to crush Bliss. Now, the main character understands that if Michael is a local bandit, then Henry is a mafia enforcer, and Prince Fabian is the head of the mafia. But the girl understands that one way or another there is nothing good. In that, she gets caught by a bad guy, and here she needs to protect herself. The young lady then claims that nothing happened, and there was just a small misunderstanding between them. Henry then asks if this is a misunderstanding, and he wonders if this happened because of these gloves, after which he turns to Michael and tells him to return them. The guy then throws these gloves and claims that the girl should not think that he needs something like that. And the man only tells Henry to go to his father, to which the boy agrees, after which he leaves menacingly. His brother then turns to the young lady, and he asks if she came there to meet Bliss, to which the young lady replies that she did. Henry states that now he hopes she realized that the guy didn't come there, so let her not get confused anymore, to which the young lady responds well and thinks that she should just not come there. Henry then turns to the young lady and asks if she has had dinner yet, and the girl replies that she has not. The man then says that Bliss must be there too, and if the girl wants, she can take and share the banquet food with him, to which the young lady is a little surprised. After which he thinks that the person who feeds you is a good person, and she already thinks of him as a good guy, and the man only tells her not to deny herself anything. Well, when the main character turns around, she wonders why he has such an expression on his face, and also whether he really agreed too quickly, and whether she should have refused at least once, but in any case, satisfying her hunger would be a good idea. Well, then someone just laughs, after which one of the women claims that the girl takes so much food, and all you have to do is look at her behavior. After all, she must be very hungry. The other woman then tells her friend to speak more quietly. But what if the girl hears them? But the other woman claims that even if she hears, it's okay, because this girl doesn't look like a beggar, but she's still stooped to the level of stealing banquet food. The main character then only gets angry and understands that this was an unkind gesture but mockery in order to make her look like a beggar, and she didn't know about it but immediately agreed. So the young lady now thinks that in fact it was all a setup, and this guy is a scoundrel, and she guessed it right away. So the girl thinks whether he really believed that she would consider him a good person just because he offered her some food, and now he's confused because his mockery didn't work, and she should look at his face. Well, when the main character turns to these ladies, they just get scared. And the young lady understands that she only needs to look like this, After which the girl also uses magic to raise the wine in one of the girl's glasses, and after that they find themselves all covered in it and then ask what it is and what just happened. And the young lady leaves with the food and understands that since they volunteered to mock the magician, they should be ready to endure such a level, and now she hurries to the young master before she gets into trouble. At this time, the guy is sitting in the garden under a tree with his keeper. And the main character then approaches the young gentleman but does not understand why he left the house because it is so cold outside. The keeper then asks if she has returned, and the main character thinks that Bliss is really cupping the keeper's chin, but it seems that the white dragon likes it. At this time, the guy is just spreading out his jacket, and the main character tells the young gentleman that he doesn't need to do this because it's cold there. So she asks him to put on his coat, and the guy replies that everything is fine because he was hot. After which the main character thanks him, but thinks that the guy looks calmer than she thought. After which she turns to him and asks if the guy has eaten, to which he replies that he has not. And the main character says that it is good, after which she suggests eating together. The guy agrees to this. And the main character claims that this food is delicious and not at all like what is in the outbuilding. Bliss then looks at her and asks if she is from the banquet hall, and the main character replies that yes, and she brought her from there. The guy then asks who told her this was done, and also whether she really met his brothers, and the young lady wonders how he found out. Shauna replies that this is not true, and she was busy eating, so she did not talk to anyone. But judging by the general reaction, it seems that collecting food from a dog in one room is bad manners, so she claims that she behaved rudely because she was completely unaware of such etiquette. Well then, the young lady asks what she could do since she couldn't just leave the food that had already been touched. In this case, she offers to eat and claims that she also brought forks and thinks that she will not forget this shame for a long time. But if she enjoys delicious food with him, then she will also remember something good. The guy just sighs and takes a fork after this, but the main character tells him to wait because he can't eat yet. And the young man is a little surprised and also asks why this is so. As it should be, the main character after this only lights a stick from the lamp, and the guy asks what she is doing, and the young lady claims that it is impossible without candles. Well then, this stick lights up even more, and they get a little scared. The young lady just covers it with her hand so that it doesn't go out and tells the guy to make a wish and blow out the candle. But the young man asks why, and the main character replies that the birthday boy always does this before eating cake. The guy claims that he is hearing about this for the first time, but then the fire flares up even more and the main character tells him to hurry up. Well, when the young man blows, it does not go out and Shauna screams for him to blow harder. And after several attempts, they finally blew out the candle together because the fire was too strong. Now the main character just smiles and asks if he made a wish. But the guy only asks if it's time to eat the cake, after which the girl replies that yes, and the young man begins to eat. And the girl then takes out her gloves, and he claims that it is his birthday present. The guy then asks if she is talking about a gift, and the girl replies that they are inexpensive because she doesn't have much money. Well, the young lady also understands that not only does it seem to me that I am wearing gloves, but Michael also tore the packaging, which is why the gift looks even worse. And it seems that the more she tries, the sadder Bliss becomes, but he most likely isn't even happy with the gift he received. And the main character at this time turns to the guy and claims that she cast a spell on these gloves, so they are perfect for him, and she doesn't know if he will like the gift. And there's nothing wrong if he doesn't like it. He just needs to put on gloves. The guy then asks what spell she cast, and the main character replies that it is a warm spell and his hands are always cold. So if he puts on gloves, they will help him. The girl also apologizes and says that she should have tried harder. But Bliss, looking at these gloves, replies that no and everything is fine, after which he thanks her and claims that if he puts on these gloves, he believes they will no longer need to hold hands. The girl then wants to say that she thinks it is so, but the keeper at this time screams out, "Who gave her permission?" And the girl replies that it is not so because they work a little differently. The dragon then says that she is doing well, and the young lady claims that she cannot hold his hands all the time, so in that case these gloves will help him. The guy then puts on gloves and says, "Look, just like you say, he really is warm," after which he thanks the young lady. A little while later, the girl is already smearing the guy's cheek with cream from the cake, and he asks a little irritated what she is doing. And the main character replies that she is smearing cake cream on her face because that is what people always do with friends on birthdays. And if he doesn't want to, then let him throw cream at her. However, the guy then also smears it on her, which makes both the girl and the keeper very surprised. And the guy asks if that's not how you treat your enemies. The young lady then takes her fist with cream and claims that you treat an enemy with such a small amount of cream, and for friends you need this much. The young man then gets a little angry and tells her to come to him. However, the young lady replies that she does not want to and asks if he thinks it will be that easy with her. But then the girl suddenly trips on a rock and starts to fall. The guy is a little surprised after this. Well, and then he grabs the young lady, after which she just falls in the other direction, and they fall on him. Bliss then tells the girl to be more careful, and he barely caught her. And the main character just thinks what a shame it is, after which she apologizes, but at that very moment, cream flies into her face. Shauna then asks what the young gentleman is doing, and when she looks at him, she sees that the guy is not laughing, and the girl is a little surprised after that, and the young man with a smile on his face claims that she now looks very funny. She tried again not to fall, but got a cake in the face. The guy also laughs and asks how it is possible that his stomach hurts, and the young lady understands that because of the loud laughter her stomach starts to hurt. However, the guy only just found out about this, and the girl wonders if this is really the first time Bliss has laughed like this since birth, but she thinks that it seems like everything is like this, but she is afraid to ask about it. After which she only smiles and claims that it is the first time she has seen him laugh. The young man is a little embarrassed after this, and the main character claims that it would be good to mix Serbians. He does it so openly many more times because it means that he is happy. The main character also touches the guy's hand and tells him to look because his hand has warmed up because of his laughter. The Guardian at this time claims that in order to change the character of his master, he must personally want it. And the young lady understands that he is right, and no matter how hard she tries to warm the young gentleman's hands, it cannot compare to his independent attempts. So the girl just takes her hand back and says that she hopes his hands will warm up as easily as he is now having fun. The guy then squeezes his hand and says that the young lady is really strange, to which she is a little surprised and asks what he is talking about. And the young man claims that she is always smiling and simple-minded and also kind. The girl is then a little surprised and wonders if the guy is really praising her now. And Bliss only claims that this is why this place is not right for her and she should be with better and nicer people. After all, he wants to tell her that she should go where there are people who are like her, and she will always be happy, because maybe in a few years, she will become like him. Although, to be honest, it's none of his business, and he just doesn't want her to become like him. And also doesn't want her eyes to lose the sparkle they currently have, and doesn't want her to be trapped there forever and live her life as an outsider. So the guy tells her to stop being his guide, to which the young lady is only surprised, and says that he said this so unexpectedly, but she is bound to this position by a contract and cannot simply leave of her own free will. But the guy claims that this does not mean that there is no way, and he can express his opinion about the validity of the contract. The young lady then looks at the keeper and wonders why he doesn't say anything, and he just sighs and asks how he can dissuade his master. The young lady then realizes that this is the perfect opportunity to resign from her position as Bliss's guide. Well then, she thinks what will happen to this guy if she leaves, and will Duke Hef hire a new guide, and what if everything goes wrong? The girl understands that the turning point has come and thinks what will happen if she stays. The young lady understands that if the future does not change, the guy will fall into eternal sleep at an early age, but she is not so attached to him that she cannot live without him. But after this, her conscience will torment her, and Bliss knows what will happen if she leaves, and the girl asks how he can so easily ask her for something like that. After all, it will be bad for him if she agrees to his proposal, so the young lady claims that she does not want this. The young man is surprised after this and asks why, and also whether she understood what he said. Shauna replies that she understood, but then she asks why the guy is so sure that she will change, and the young man asks how else. The young lady then only claims that he will become like her, and the girl thinks that the guy should do as his sister says, after which she thinks that they should go all the way because she will help him. Shauna thinks that he should listen to her and also meet the main character and live a happy life. The girl also tells him to wait and see for himself. After all, she would cope. After a harsh winter during which there was heavy snowfall, spring had finally arrived, green shoots began to sprout, and wild flowers, the names of which she did not know, began to bloom. And the young lady understands that nature with its desire for life is amazing, and the young lady understands that spring is so warm and refreshing. She doesn't like it, and the girl also thinks that winter would come back sooner, because it would be wonderful if she closed her eyes and spring and summer flew by in an instant. Shayna, who adores spring, began to hate it, and this started last year. Last year, Biss turned 16, and at that age, the Huff family began participating in competitive hunting every year. Shauna, as his guide, could not refuse to participate, and in fact, competitive hunting is an event close to preventive measures. On one of the warm days on its territory, each aristocratic family plunges into eternal sleep, a sufficient number of animals capable of causing harm. At first, Shauna was looking forward to this competition and wondering what the hunt would be like. The girl wondered if she would look like the main character from a big-budget fantasy film when she met the beast. Such were her carefree fantasies, but when Bliss stood in the front row with other members of the Huff clan and the girl behind helped the services gather medicinal herbs, then one of the monsters suddenly attacked her and growled very loudly, after which the young lady lost consciousness. But she didn't even have time to scream, so she was angry at the author of this novel. And he didn't mention that the animals would be so huge. The beast was also confused after that, and the young lady understands that in the novel it was only said that the guy plunges the beast that appeared with a roar into a crippled sleep. That's why the girl wonders if this is the same roar. But in the book, Shauna fell into eternal sleep during the hunt, and here at first glance it is clear why this happened, because if they met again, she would simply fall into eternal sleep. Luckily, the knight chasing the beast quickly decapitates it, so she has to endure ridicule from everyone including Bliss, because every time she meets the beast she faints, and this day became traumatic for her. At the same time, it gave her confidence. Well, the young lady now thinks that if everything continues like this, she will definitely fall into eternal sleep, as it is written in the novel, and this will happen when the guy turns 20. The young lady also thinks that this is not only because of the novel, because she has a strong premonition that this will happen. So the young lady understands that she must enter into eternal sleep before this, but also understands that she can simply fake it. The girl understands that the boy turned 17 this year and she has about 3 years left. The young lady also understands that so much time has passed and she still has not figured out a way to escape her fate. So, she needs to urgently find at least a few options. Well then, the young lady also thinks that the guy has grown so much, and also you just have to look at how he shines. At the age of 13, Bliss looked pale and weak, and his sadness was easily reflected on his face, which made her sad too, and the girl thought that whoever made him cry, she would crush them all into dust. But the young lady thinks that now, after all the year before last, he experienced a sharp growth spurt and at the same time instantly overtook his older brothers, and moreover, due to the gradual growth of muscles, his body began to look very strong. The girl also wonders if his soul has grown stronger, considering that she hurt his heart and there is a scar there forever. But the young lady then thinks how he would have changed if she had not been there during his growing up, but she could have stopped being his guide when he asked her to. The young lady also wonders whether she should ask about it now and whether the guy will try to fire her again. Well, then the main character notices that the young man is looking at her and thinks that he scared her, and she already thought that he was reading her thoughts, after which the young people turn to the young gentleman and ask if he has finished his preparations, to which the guy replies yes. The young lady understands that because he is very tall, it is difficult for her to look at him. She is interested in whether the guy will continue to grow since he is only 17. But then the young lady suddenly remembers what would happen to a guy on a hunt at 17 and realizes that this is a serious problem because she had completely forgotten about it. At the age of 17, Bliss gets hurt during a competitive hunt. The young man turns to Shauna and says that she looks strange again. The girl understands that in the novel this happened because of his brother's plan, and the guy got a scar that stayed with him forever. Later, because of this temple located on his right hand, the main character will be filled with sympathy for him. And the young lady thinks what she should do and maybe she should tell him. But she is not a fortune teller and she thinks whether the guy will believe it, and this is not the kind of trauma that can cause him to fall into eternal sleep. But then she says, and thinks that, or maybe, after which she turns to the young gentleman and then he asks, "What is it?" The girl tells him to be extremely careful and always on guard. And he especially didn't forget to look around. Bliss then says that it is rather she who needs to be more careful, because if she faints again, he will leave her, and the young lady claims that she nevertheless asks him to return safe and sound. To which the young man only smiles and tells her not to worry, and the girl understands that he looks pleased, but still doesn't understand why he suddenly became cheerful. Then the main character's brother approaches them and claims that they really never leave each other, and that he didn't know that they had such a good relationship. Shauna then wonders if it could be Michael. The girl realizes that this guy is constantly making fun of Bliss and Shauna, and he finds it normal to let off steam on the workers of the outbuilding. Because of this, the workers treated the guy coldly, because they thought that such an attitude towards them was tantamount to serving the young master. But in reality, Michael acted this way because of her, because he torments the people around her because of that incident at the holiday banquet. And every time the young lady watches this, she feels sorry for Bliss, but in fact he doesn't care at all about Michael's bullying or the alienation of the servants. At this time, Michael turns to his brother and says that he turned 17 this year, after which he asks if this is true, and the guy then answers that it is true. And Michael also turns to the young lady and asks what about her, after which the young lady notices that she is 20, and the guy then asks if she is really that old already and claims that he doesn't see a grown-up girl in front of him. He then repeats the ages of the two and claims that there are rumors in Swedish circles that they have romantic feelings for each other. The young lady then only thinks that she wishes this guy would leave as soon as possible. At this time, the young man calls his falcon, and when it sits on his hand, he asks if they see his guardian and claims that his name is Ruby, but he named him that because of the color of his beak. After which, he tells the guardians to greet each other, but the white dragon as well as the young lady are not interested in this. Fluffy then just sits quietly. And after this, Michael's bird screams and flies away, after which the guy asks what the matter is. The white dragon then claims that this young bird, unlike his master, behaves rudely towards his superiors, and the young lady understands that the guardians among their own can recognize the one who is stronger even if strength has nothing to do with appearance. Mikhail then screams for the bird to stop and calm down, but it only hits him in the face. And after this, the main character can't hold back her laughter. But Michael then turns to her and asks if she just laughed. The guy also turns to the young lady and asks how dare she laugh at him. Well, when the guy is about to approach the young lady, Bliss stands next to her and says that he congratulates his brother on being chosen by the guardian and also wishes him to shine brightly in the future. Michael then claims that he will be unlike the guy because both he and his guardian and the guide are not mature enough, and he does not know whether Bliss will shine as well, but he wants him to become famous. Bliss then turns to her brother and claims that he talks too much, to which he is only surprised. The young man only claims that all this is only because he lacks abilities, but the guardian and the guide are not to blame for his failures. Mikhail then asks if Bliss has really gone crazy to talk to him like that, and the main character then thinks why the young gentleman suddenly says such a thing because he can't bring himself and Michael out, because on today's hunt, the man who wounds Bliss, none other than Michael. The young ladies also understand that he must not be angered under any circumstances, and she must apologize to him, after which she tells him to wait a second. However, the white dragon then tells the girl not to interfere because he can handle it himself, after which the young lady wonders what he is talking about. But the white dragon then only orders the young bird to become related, and he also tells the young lady not to worry, because no one can hear his voice except this bird. But the main character thinks that this is not the problem, and if I poop on Michael, he will get angry, and this cannot be allowed. The white dragon then turns to the young bird and asks if she heard her answer. If she doesn't defecate on her master right now, he will. The main character understands that the white dragon has not yet matured, so he does not have much strength. And does this eagle not know about this? but he looks worried. His face seems to reflect the conflict the disorder of experiences, as well as the difficult problem in their life as a keeper, after which he immediately closes his eyes and pushes, after which the fruit of his activity falls on Michael, causing him to scream, after which he tries to hit the bird and asks if it has gone crazy. The white dragon then says that the young bird is a fine fellow because her courage saved her master, and the young lady thinks that the keeper really did it, for which he received only cheap praise. The guy at this time only screams that but when he hears that someone is approaching, he just turns around and tells them to wait, and then they will see everything. The young lady then thinks that it is his keeper with rules on him. Well, I'm waiting. So what does Bliss have to do with it? The girl also understands that it seems that Michael is angry and thinks whether it is possible to avoid the incident described in the book because of this. Well, then the young lady understands that she is sure that the guy will not fall into eternal sleep before the beginning of the novel. The young man at this time only turns to Shauna and tells her to be careful, but the girl then thinks about who else needs to worry about, after which she tells the young master to also be careful. Michael, a little while later, only furiously bangs on the wall and swears. And his brother claims that he has disgraced himself and asks when the boy will stop arguing with his son and inferior people. However, Michael tells him to wait and see, because on this hunt he taught this arrogant idiot a lesson. His brother then asks what the guy will do, and he replies that he is thinking about shooting Bliss, supposedly mistaking him for an animal. But he will do this not with a simple arrow, but with one on which he will cast a spell, and the guy will not fall into eternal sleep, but will remain with a severe wound in his head. The brunette then asks if Bliss will then be afraid of him, and Michael asks what he is talking about, after which his brother claims that he strongly doubts that the guy will be able to scare him in this way. Michael then asks if the arrow is not enough. His interlocutor replies that it is not at all, and that he should not be shot at, and the guy then asks at whom, and the man claims that this needs to be done to his conductor because she recently turned 20 years old, and isn't that a wonderful age? A wound left by a magic arrow will look sadder on a girl than on a guy. The main character is heading through the forest at this time and realizes that, as always, the destination is Mount Pelud. The night mages and the people from the Huff family are walking ahead, hunting animals and checking if the area is safe. The servants can search for medicinal herbs in the depths of Mount Pelud, and in the novel the girl was a mage, so she also had to go to the front line. But the Huff family did not want to use her power. And Bliss, although he was not a magician, still decided to go in the vanguard, and perhaps this is because over the past years he has honed his fencing and reached a high level in it. The girl also understands that for this reason she is the one who must try her best. At this time, the young lady also notices an unfamiliar person and asks who it is, since she is seeing him for the first time. Another girl replies that it is a pharmacist sent by the Schneier family, and the young lady realizes that this is the first time she has heard of this family, after which she asks if he was sent to help the guy during the hunt. The lady with red hair replies that not only this, but in the following ones as well, because he will stay there for several more years. The main character understands that usually on a hunt, healers and knights from different families gather and work together, and it is common to meet many strangers there, for example as the Cooper family sent 2 this year. However, the young lady thinks that although she has seen temporary aid sent to each other from allied families in recent years, this practice has not been particularly noticeable, so the girl wonders why this is so. One of the maids then claims that no matter what the relationship between the families is, they would never lend out their people for several years without compensation, and the Schneier family really wants to build a relationship with the Huff family. Marquis Karl Schneier seems very desperate. The main character then still does not understand who it is, and understands that there was no such character in the novel, or she does not remember because his existence was insignificant. The girl thinks that despite the title he has, judging by the tone of the servants' conversation, for some reason they are belittling him, and the young lady wonders if his family is really crushed. Well, then she tries to distract herself from these thoughts and thinks, is she really worried about a stranger now? But she had to take care of herself so as not to faint. The The young lady also realizes that her nose is not long enough to worry about others, although the young lady thinks that he is still, long after which the visit of the pharmacist who is walking next to her and begins to worry about him. The young lady also thinks what is wrong with her because he looks like a dangerous person. But they go deeper and deeper into the mountains. But why does she constantly move away from the others and thinks, what if the door catches her and eats her? The young lady then turns to the pharmacist and states that she cannot lag behind the group, so let him walk next to her. The young lady also claims that she completely forgot and did not even introduce herself, after which she claims that she is the guide of the young master Blisshuff named Shauna. However, after this, the guy only remains silent and the young lady turns to the pharmacist asking what it is. The man then removes his hood and asks for forgiveness, after which he claims to be a student of Marquis Karl Schneier. And his name is Noah. The main character then looks at this guy and realizes that he looks like Togo, someone who is easily deceived, and this guy gives the impression of a weak-willed person who cannot refuse another's request. The girl then turns to him and asks if this is the first time the guy has taken part in a hunt, and he asks if it is really that noticeable, after which the young lady claims that he looks a little tense. But she also says that there is no need to doubt the strength of the people in the front line, so let him not worry. The guy then says that Mrs. Shauna is very kind and even cares about people like him. Noah then replies that of course that's true, because they are hunting comrades and therefore they need to help each other. The guy is silent for a bit after this, but claims that this is true. A little while later, everyone is already collecting herbs there. The young lady then turns to Noah and says that she should understand medicinal herbs, but so far she hasn't been very successful. The young man then claims that of course he will try his best to help the Huff family. And the main character with a smile on her face says that since he is a pharmacist, she will hope for his help. Well, when she sees the guy's expression, she wonders if her words sounded too burdensome, and the conversation reached a dead end. The girl also sees a red flower in front of her and thinks that she is seeing one for the first time, and wonders if it is medicinal, after which she whispers how beautiful it is. And he reaches out his hand to this flower. However, the guy at the same time tells her not to touch this flower, and the main character of the game, not surprised, asks what the matter is. And the guy claims that this is the flower he thought it was. However, the young man then notices that he suddenly grabbed the young lady by the hand. And when he realizes that it was very rude, he immediately runs to the side and apologizes and also claims that he is truly sorry. The main character then replies that everything is fine but asks why he did it. And Noah replies that he stopped her because the flower is poisonous. The young lady is then a little surprised and asks if that is really true. The girl understands that this is the devil's dream, and this flower is a painkiller, a small dose of which causes hallucinations that make you forget about the pain. But if a person uses a whole bud, he will fall into suspended animation. His breathing will be impossible to feel, and his pulse will slow down significantly, and eventually he will fall into eternal sleep. The young man with green hair claims that the lion's share of people ate the whole bud in the hope of seeing hallucinations of a non-living person. But with anabiosis, the hallucinations disappear, and you have to watch as your own body plunges into eternal sleep. And the main character then asks if there is any antidote for this, and the guy claims that if the suspended animation does not last long, then the poison can be neutralized. And the young lady understands that now there is a way to avoid falling into eternal sleep in the novel. The young lady understands that right now, her brain is working at the highest possible speed to come up with the perfect escape plan, and she feels she can do it. First, she should eat a poisonous flower called Devil's Sleep and go into suspended animation, after which the people who find her will think that the girl has fallen into eternal sleep, and after that, she will be released from the contract. Then he drinks the antidote in time and comes back to life, and the girl thinks that this is a perfect plan. Well, the girl also thinks how she can drink the antidote because if they decide that she has plunged into the crippled elephant, then she will either be buried or burned, and in that case, when should she drink the antidote and how to escape? But the girl also understands that she cannot give up, but for that plan she will need an assistant. The young lady understands that if she takes the easy way out, she must take the Duke's family's attending physician as an assistant and leave the estate as soon as the antidote takes effect, because everyone will decide that she has fallen into a crippled sleep, and the girl understands that this is the best plan. Well, she still doubts that the doctor of the Duke's family will become her assistant, and it would be better to bribe someone, but this will not work because she has no money. The main character also thinks that there really isn't a person who could help her, and of course he won't appear just like in the movies. At this time, Noah turns to Mrs. Shauna and asks if everything is okay because she doesn't look very well. The main character understands that this is not a family doctor, a pharmacist, and a family of doctors and a person who is able to prepare an antidote. He does not avoid her like the other workers, and is also a timid person who is unable to refuse someone's request. The young lady understands that if this is a request from a close friend and not an unknown ritual with a pseudo-kidnapping for the purpose of extorting money, then the guy will gladly listen to everything and this is her chance. After which the main character grabs his hands, which surprises the pharmacist, and the girl only says that he is her savior. Their boyfriends claim that he is not so much, and the main character claims that she would be very happy if she had such a good friend as he, so she asks if he wants to be friends with her. The guy is then a little surprised and asks why so suddenly. Well, and then he claims that he wants, and says that the girl should become his friend. Shauna understands that she asked very unexpectedly, so she thought that the guy would not withstand the pressure and would run away, but she wonders if he is really that lonely. Noah at this time thinks that everything is going smoothly. The guy remembers how the master called him, and he claimed that he would carry out any of his orders. The man claims that he asked to be called Carl, or at least teacher, after which he claimed that he wanted to send him for several years as a pharmacist to the Huff family, because he had heard that there was a genius there. Noah then asked if the master was talking about the third son, and the man claimed that he was talking about the one who was chosen as the guardian before the awakening. The guy with green hair then asked if this guardian was weak, and the gentleman replied that these creatures only pretend to be cute animals to get closer to the magicians, but they are not simple pets. And the appearance of the guardian does not matter because what is important is that he chose a boy who has not yet awakened, and as he knows now, the Schneier family is in a hopeless situation, and all the outstanding talents sank into eternal sleep and only empty shells remained. The man also told Noah not to look at him with that look because he was not thinking of giving up like that, after which he claimed that if the guy goes there, he will be able to meet the guide. Bliss Huff and the young man with green hair asked what he should do after that, after which his master claimed that everything was simple and the guy just needed to become friends with her. However, the young man then cried out that he had no ability for such a thing, and Carl insisted that the guy should not worry because perhaps the girl one would want to get closer to him. And this is a good opportunity for a loner like him, so let the guy try to be friends with her, and after that, he will tell him what to do next. The young man with green hair then agreed and said that he would do as the master wished. The guy now understands that, as Mr. Carl said, this girl was the first to offer friendship with him and he is very smart. The young lady wonders if the guy is really that happy, but then someone screams, turning to Mrs. Shauna, and when the young lady asks, "What is it?" Then the girl claims that the young master needs her help. The main character then thinks about what she is talking about and whether the young master really needs her. Well, the girl then thinks why, because Bliss is strong enough, so why does he need her help and maybe something happened? However, the young lady understands that there is no time to think about it, and first she needs to find out what happened, after which she turns to the maid and tells her to take her. A little while later, the girl finds herself in the forest, after which she turns to the young gentleman. Well, he just asks if it's Shauna and what she's doing there, after which he tells the girl to go back right now. The young lady then asked what he was talking about, and the guy also asked if she knew how dangerous it was there. The girl replied that, of course she knew, but she was told that he had called her. The guy then asks who it was, and the young lady is told that it was the maid who came and said that he was looking for her. The brunette then claims that this is Michael's doing, and the young lady asks what he is talking about. And the guy replies that this is his brother Michael's maid. At that moment, the same guy they were talking about runs up to them and says that the guy's guide has finally arrived. The guy then sees that it is Michael, after which he claims that Shauna has never been hunting before and it is dangerous for her to be there. But Michael then asks if it is not dangerous for him. After all, he doesn't know how to use magic, so the only reason he was allowed to participate in the hunt was because of his age, and the guy then asks if his guide, who knows magic, wouldn't be more useful than him. And the main character then realizes that this is not true and she is useless in everything. Michael then asks why the young lady is so afraid because they will be nearby and will not allow her to fall into eternal sleep, but he also claims that it seems that someone's guide does not like being there. He also turns to his brother and tells him not to look at him like that. He will simply give her a simple job to do, after which he asks if the girl knows how to use purification magic. Shauna replies that yes, and she understands that the beast gives people headaches both in its living and non-living state, and if it is not disposed of properly, then poisonous gas will leak out of the body, which will pollute the entire earth around it. And purification is one of the duties of the magician, so Mikhail now claims that when they plunge the beast into eternal sleep, the girl will have to cleanse his body, and since there are a lot of them there will not be enough time to cleanse each one separately. The young lady then understands that if he is only talking about purification, then she can handle it, because this kind of magic does not require much strength, and there is no need to be afraid of a beast that is no longer alive. After which the main character agrees that she will then contact her Bliss. However, the young lady claims that everything is fine and she will cope. Mikhail then replies that yes, and although there is a species of beast that is capable of being reborn even after death, as far as is known such have never been seen on Mount Pelud, so the girl need not worry. Although he still says that this year the winter was very harsh, so the mid-level beasts could grow into high-level beasts. Shauna then wonders if the guy is really trying to scare her to the end. And Bliss then turns to the young lady and tells her to stay close to him. The young lady then replies that of course she will not leave him, after which the guy says that it's good. And he touches her hair, but the main character thinks what he is doing and why he touched her hair. After all, the guy had never done anything like that before, and the young man at this time claims that sloppy people remain sloppy to the end. To which the young lady is a little surprised and understands that he was simply trying to remove the leaf and wanted to help. But she was simply surprised. Well, the young lady thinks it's the same as if she had a red pepper stuck in her teeth, so she needs to calm down. A little while later, the magicians are already dealing with the wild animals, and the young lady, watching all this, sees that Henry is acting almost alone. Although magical power is important, if a person also has good physical strength, then he is amazing, and right now Henry shines brighter than anyone else. At this time, Michael approaches the young lady and tells her to cleanse the body of this monster. To which the young lady agrees and understands that the guy boasts much more than Henry, although in comparison with him, he has put quite a few animals into eternal sleep. After which she says that if she cleans this beast, its aura will come out. Well then, in the young lady, she sees something flickering and asks what it is. However, Michael at the same time screams for the girl to move away because this door is still alive. The young lady then thinks that this cannot be because she did not feel the pulse, and this beast has definitely fallen into eternal sleep, after which she says that she is absolutely sure of this. However, then the young lady sees an arrow already aimed at her and understands that this is what it is. After all, the guy shot her on purpose and everything was planned from the very beginning. At that very moment, someone worriedly screams the girl's name. The young lady is on the ground a moment later and realizes that her whole body is aching. Well, she still doesn't feel pain from the arrow, so she wonders if the guy really missed, after which the young lady turns to the young gentleman and realizes that he helped her. Then the girl also tells him to wait. But in shock, he realizes that the arrow hit the guy, after which he just falls to the ground, and the young lady turns to the young gentleman in shock. A little while later, the guy already opens his eyes and the young lady asks if he is awake. The guy then looks at her. A little while later, the main character gives him water, and when the guy drinks it, he asks how long he slept, after which the young lady replies that it was a week. Bliss then asks if she was looking after him all this time, and the girl replies that she was, and the young man says that it must have been hard for her. The main character then claims that he got wounded because of her, and therefore she had to help. The guy then understands that Shauna is behaving strangely, and the reason is not at all in the mood, because the girl was always worried and cared about him, and smiled as soon as she heard words of gratitude. Well, now he wonders if the young lady really feels so guilty that she can smile. After which, the young man with a smile on his face says that there is no need to blame yourself so much. However, the main character then turns to him in shock and asks how she cannot blame you. since because of her he almost fell into eternal sleep. The guy is then a little surprised but claims that he is still alive, and they are both alive now and everything is fine with them. Well, the main character then says with tears in her eyes that he slept for a whole week and says that it is normal. The girl also asks if he knows how much she was scared when he protected her from the arrow, and no matter how many times she called him, he did not answer. And also, his body was very heavy like a dead person. The young man is then a little surprised by such a reaction of the young lady, and the main character only claims that the wound was so deep that for 3 days he was tormented by a high fever, because of which he might not have woken up. And it was very painful, after which the young lady apologizes for the fact that he had to get injured because of her, and the guy replies that he is fine. However, the lady with pink hair tells him not to talk gay like that, but he should value his body. They treat it carelessly, because of someone like her. The guy got a little angry when he heard the girl call herself that. And the young lady claims that since he woke up she will call the pharmacist, and the young man then understands that she did not thank him for saving her, but apologized for the injury. At this time the girl is heading down the corridor and remembers how the guy claimed that he had not fallen into eternal sleep, and that they were both alive now and that everything was fine with them. That's why she thinks that he says it so easily because he doesn't know that he was hanging by a thread from a bad end, and if Noah hadn't heard the noise and given Bliss first aid urgently, he most likely would not be alive anymore. Fortunately, Noah's abilities were beyond praise. Well, Michael didn't get punished. He claimed that he thought the animal was still alive, and so he fired, after which he was only warned to be more careful in the future. Since Duke Huff has Noah, he did not ask another healer to help Bliss. Shauna was very shocked, and the main reason for this was not the injury of the guy deviation from the canon. The scar received by Michael's arrow was the same as in the novel, but the arrow should have hit my bicep and left a small scar and not such a terrible wound. Therefore, the young lady wonders if it was because of her that the events deviated from the canon or thinks how to fix it. The girl understands that as she thought she must carry out this plan, and all this time the thought of preventing injuries as well as the guy's immersion in eternal sleep did not leave her. But now it seems that for him to be okay, she should not be around, and the young lady thinks that this is true, because no matter what she thinks, Bliss now is the best time to leave him quickly in one day. The girl understands that for this, she first needs to find an assistant so that she can eat that poisonous flower. After which, the young lady knocks on the pharmacist's door and claims that it is she. Noah then gets up from his seat and tells the girl to leave, and the young lady says yes, that she came to tell him that the young master had woken up. The guy then asked if it was true and said what a joy it was, because then he would go check on his condition. And the main character understands that Noah can definitely help time passed, and the end of the year came. Girl thinks that finally she became this day. After a day of hunting, she put a lot of effort into getting closer to Noah for the sake of her plan, and they have already become very close friends, so the young people understand that now she can tell him everything. A little while later, the guy already enters the room and the young lady realizes that he is there. The girl also claims that it is cool outside, so let him come in quickly, to which the guy agrees but asks why. The main character then asks what is going on, and the guy adds in his thoughts why she locked the door, but answers that nothing. She then turns to Noah on the screen and says that she has one request, after which she asks if he could listen to her. The guy then understands that this is why the young lady called him, after which he asks what kind of request this is. And the main character then claims that she needs help to be able to leave there. The young man is a little surprised by this and asks what she is talking about, and Shauna claims that she wants to leave this place. The guy then asks if she says she wants to leave young Master Bliss. And when the main character answers that there is the young man with green hair, claims that it seemed to him that they had a very good relationship, Shauna replies that she just wants to take a break and return to her homeland and see her family, but because of her contract, she can't leave. The green-haired youth then asks if it is a matter of the contract and asks how he can help her. Shauna states that the contract will lose its power either when the young master awakens or when she falls into eternal sleep, and the guy can help her stage the scene of falling into a crippled sleep and escape from there. and she has almost completely thought out the plan. The young man then asks if she really wants to stage her own immersion into eternal sleep, after which he also claims that if the girl does this, she will have to hide her whole life, and she will not even be able to register with the Association of Magicians under her name because she will be considered undead. The main character replies that she knows, and the guy then claims that she can go to meet her family in secret and she needs to make such a hasty decision, but the main character claims that she made this decision slowly, thinking about it for the last 5 years. The green-haired youth then asks if she has been thinking about this since she started working as the young gentleman's guide, to which the young lady only nods. And the guy claims that it is very difficult, and the main character answers that she knows that the request is not simple, so she asks for forgiveness for this, and the young man answers that this is not the issue, after which he also asks to give him time to think. The main Geoine now understands that as soon as the new year came, Noah, who decided to delay the answer, took a vacation and went to the Schneier family. So after several weeks of his absence, the girl became worried and began to think about another question. A little while later, the young man returned with flowers and claimed that in order for the plan to succeed, she needed so many flowers. And the main character then, a little surprised, turned to Noah, and the guy only claimed that he would help her. The young people understand that he looks worried and does not like to deceive others, but he gave an affirmative answer to her request. The main character now thanks the guy and claims that she will never forget his kindness, after which she understands that now all that remains is to put the plan into action. The girl understands that today will be the opening of the banquet in honor of Bliss's 18th and Michael's 20th birthdays, and today she will stage her immersion in a crippling sleep, as a result of which she will leave the events of the novel. The main character understands that she doesn't really want to do this on Bliss's birthday, but she has no other choice, and because today there will be a huge number of carriages at the estate, which will allow her to hide in one of them when the guests leave. The girl also remembers how Noah claimed that, as he had said, Marquis Schneier would attend this banquet, and he would prepare a place for the girl in his team where she could hide. And the main character then asks if the Marquis knows about this, and the young man with green hair answers that he does not know, and the girl must leave before the carriage arrives at the Schneier family estate, after which he asks if she can do it, and the young lady answers that she can, and also promises that she will do everything possible and impossible to not put him under attack. This was the plan of the young lady, and after the start of the banquet, she will eat a poisonous flower and then fall into a state of suspended animation. Then Noah will tell the maid from the outbuilding about her, after which she will be found unconscious, and then the guy will announce her immersion in eternal sleep. Thus, having excluded it, is necessary to choose a family doctor, and if the young man with green hair says that he will take care of the body himself, then the services of the outbuilding will only be happy to get rid of the extra headache. Then the guy will feed her the antidote, after which the girl will quietly disappear into the Marquis's carriage and jump off it long before the final stop, because even if her status is not determined, there are many places where she can go. And since she has magic, she will be able to feed herself wherever she goes, and the main character now thinks that she will cope and everything will be fine. The girl also thinks that the guy will probably be very scared when she falls into eternal sleep, so she thinks that she will go and see him for the last time. When a young lady comes to a guy, he asks why she came, and the young lady understands that the thought that she will no longer see this face makes her somehow both happy and sad, after which she claims that she got bored, so she came to work with him in the direction and asks if the guy is comfortable now, after which she does not start doing these directions. And she claims that if you think about it, he no longer needs her direction, and the guy asks what she is talking about. The young lady then claims that he will awaken when she learns to sense mana, and since she cannot help him with your mana, he will have to learn on his own. And the guy then asks if she is really saying all this just to hide the fact that she came to study with him out of boredom. However, the young lady insists that she is serious, and the young man asks if she is saying that she will give up her place as his guide to a tree in the garden. Shauna then claims that everything will be fine, and that a conductor is a position that can easily be replaced, after which the guy is only surprised, and the main character claims that she will go after, which she says goodbye to the young gentleman and wishes him a good reading. The white dragon then asks if the girl is going through puberty since she is acting stranger every day. And the brunette watching the young lady leave just remains silent. The main character then understands that this is enough and she did well and is also a good girl. While everyone is having fun at a birthday party, the main character sits with tea made from red petals, after which the girl drinks it and lies down on the bed. Understanding that now you need to wait for the effect to occur and then everything will resolve itself, after which the young lady closes her eyes but suddenly hears someone calling her name. The main character also wonders if it is Bliss. The guy at this time only claims that he is entering. The young man understands that he came to her because he was worried about what she had said, but he did not think that the girl was sleeping at such an hour, after which he wonders why she was not in bed. Bliss also thinks that since the day he got shot at during the competitive hunt, Sean's behavior towards him has not changed, and he is sure that this is all because of remorse, but he risked his life not because of Shauna, but for her protection, and if the arrow had hit her, then a scar could easily have remained on her fragile body. The guy also understands that, of course, if that arrow had put him into eternal sleep, everything would have been different, and then Shauna's life would have become very miserable. After all, the girl is such an inept guide that she could not help a 17-year-old wake up whom she also put into a crippled sleep. And the rumor about this would haunt the girl all her life, and it would start to spread precisely because of him. The young man also understands that the young lady believes that because of that incident, she should feel regret and carry this burden in her heart, which is why you have been acting so awkwardly towards him lately and have not reproached him for anything. The young man also recalls how she claimed that a guide is one of the most popular professions among magicians, and now he claims that it seems she doesn't want to stay there anymore. The guy also understands that it's wrong to hold on to a person who wants to leave and thinks that if she wants to leave him, she should have been kinder to him, just like his mother. The boy's mother was a cold and indifferent person. Until she sent Bliss to the Duke's family, she cooked the boy delicious food and bought warm clothes for the winter. Whatever the guy said, she smiled brightly, and for him it was happiness that he had never even dreamed of. The little guy was so enchanted by this happiness that he never doubted it, and it was at that moment when he was distracted that his mother left. Before this, he promised that he would never leave his son, and the guy is now wondering if the girl is now also thinking about how to escape from him. But he still thinks that he doesn't need any other guide except her, after which he realizes that despite the fact that he has long since abandoned hope for awakening, he doesn't want her to leave. But then he thinks why it has to be Shauna. However, the guy then notices something strange and turns to Shauna, after which he immediately screams out whether there is someone outside, and when the maid enters the room, then the guy screams for her to call a doctor immediately. The young man realizes that he suddenly stopped hearing her breathing, and even when he moves his hand to his nose, he feels nothing. Then he listens to the young lady's heartbeat and realizes that although it is audible, it is faint. The young man also turns to Shauna and tells her to get up, but when he sees how the young lady's hand doesn't even rise, he thinks in shock that she couldn't have fallen into a crippling sleep because he could clearly hear her weak heartbeat. The young man also thinks how this could have happened because the girl was healthy, and they had only spoken to her a few hours ago, so she could not have fallen into eternal sleep so suddenly. The guy also wonders if she will really leave him alone in this empty outbuilding. At this time, one of the servants runs into the room and asks what happened, and the young man claims that his guide is not breathing, and her heartbeat is very weak and slow. The doctor then touches the young lady's hand and then just closes his eyes, and he claims that he definitely felt her pulse. At this time, a young man with green hair runs into the room and asks to let him see how the girl is feeling. He then touches the young lady's hand and apologizes, but claims that he cannot feel her pulse right now, and he claims that Mrs. Shauna has abandoned them. The brunette just smiles at this whole situation and then takes the young lady in his arms. The young man with green hair then turns to the young gentleman a little worriedly and asks where he is going. The guy understands that Shauna's life can be saved by a doctor from the Harris family, with whom the Huff family has made an alliance, and the young man thinks that not all is lost. This is how those events happened with the awakening of the young man, after all, when the Duke refused him. Then the guy couldn't contain all this injustice and woke up. After this, a man with red hair approaches the guy and claims that his name is Karl Schneier. He also asks to show him this lady and asks to moderate his coldness. The young man only looks menacingly at the guy, and he claims that the heart of this unfortunate lady could freeze. A little while later, the main character opens her eyes and realizes that everything has gone wrong. Her plan to quietly disappear from this novel with her son failed miserably, and it seems that on the contrary, events have deviated even more from the original, and now she has no choice but to try to fix everything. After which the young lady gets up and Noah asks if she is awake. The main character then asks Noah if it was her and realizes that she didn't know the guy was there and that her aunt didn't swear in front of him. At this time, the guy worriedly asks how the lady is feeling, and the young lady notes that she is not bad and taking the water in her hands thanks him. The young man then just bows and apologizes because he wanted to help her, but didn't know that everything would turn out like this. And the main character turns to the guy and claims that he doesn't need to apologize because everything just didn't go according to plan. The young man then understands that he agrees with this, but this turn of events did not happen due to some kind of accident, because everything from the very beginning did not go according to plan, or to be precise, from the moment she asked him to help her carry out this plan. When he told his master about this, he only said that the guy should help the girl and more accurately make her believe that he would help. The red-haired youth also claimed that he would fail to show up at the celebratory banquet this year, but if there was a chance to save Bliss's conductor and attract his attention, then why not take advantage of it? The young man with green hair then asks if the gentleman is talking about him lying to Shauna. But Carl then only asked if the guy wanted to do this, and also if he perceived her as his real friend. The young man then answered that everything was not so. And the man with red hair claimed that he knew that it was not easy for such a weak-willed person like him to do this, but he still turned to Noah. And he said that he should not forget about their goal because in order to fulfill it, they must be more determined than the rest, after which the young man agreed. And now he understands that, as the gentleman said, they must achieve an important goal, so he cannot forget about it. At this time, the main character only turns to the guy and asks what he is thinking about since he has turned completely pale. The young man then realizes that he didn't think that he would feel guilty about the plan's failure, and the main character claims that everything is fine and he doesn't need to apologize because she is already grateful to him for trying to help. And on the contrary, she should ask his forgiveness for asking too much. At that moment, Bliss enters the room and then sees the young lady, after which she says that she woke up. The young man with green hair then rises from his seat and says that since the guy has come, he will go. Noah also thinks that this guy is so calm, and this is the man who was filled with mana after he found out that Shauna had fallen into eternal sleep. And then not only did he fall into a situation of excess, but he also took some action. At this time, the guy just sits down on a chair next to the young lady, and the main character understands that he looks better than she thought because she thought that he would be torn apart by emotions. Shauna then, with a smile on her face, congratulates him on waking up, after which she asks what he is feeling now and whether it is something special, and the guy replies that he does not know, after which he extends his hand and tells the girl to do the same, and also put mana in her hand and take his. And the main character then thinks whether he is asking for direction, after which she puts her hand. And the guy just grabs her, and when the young lady tries to say something, then he just tells the girl to do it, after which the young lady does it. Then the young lady is a little surprised and says, "Just now," and the guy just claims that this is what he feels. And the young lady understands that she has finally succeeded, after which she congratulates the young gentleman with a smile on her face. Well, the guy, not letting her finish her sentence, only pulls the girl closer to him. However, he then asks why she did it. Shauna then wonders how he knew about it and if something happened while she was sleeping. The young lady then asks, puzzled, what he is talking about, but the guy just grabs her face, and he tells Shauna to answer, after which he also asks why the girl is so scared and whether she is afraid that he will do something to her. The main character then only says that she is in pain, after which he also claims that mana continues to flow from his hand and it hurts. The guy immediately moves away from her, and the main character just starts coughing, after which the young man apologizes and claims that he did not know that a mana flow was passing through. The girl then realizes that he is not yet able to fully control mana, and the young man only clenches his fist and claims that he is the man who healed her. He said that it seemed that she had eaten a poisonous flower called the Devil's Dream, and so he searched her room and found dried petals of this flower, the remains of which were in her cup. The main character then understands that he found everything, but then thinks that Bliss still doesn't know the reason why she did this, and thinks whether she should tell her that she doesn't know anything or didn't suspect that she ate it. But if she says so, then someone will be blamed, and the young lady understands that if Michael is accused without reason, he can take revenge on you on a much larger scale. The guy only claims that there is no point in falsely accusing his older brother Michael of secretly giving the young lady tea with a poisonous flower, since he checked all of this, and he asks if there is another person besides Michael. Who could do that to her? After which he still asks where the young lady got the poisonous flower and whether her friend the pharmacist helped her. Shauna then understands that since it has already become clear that she ate the Devil's Dream on her own initiative, she needs to save at least Noah, so the young lady replies that no, and she is not close to anyone. The brunette then claims that they often spend time with him, and at the end of last year they both had a separate party, and when he appeared during their conversation, they both immediately stopped talking. And when he came to check on her condition, this pharmacist was always in her bedroom, and he was sitting next to her bed with a depressed expression on his face. But the person who is worried about her was not very worried when she was announced to be immersed in a crippling sleep. So he asks if this is not strange. Shauna replies that since he is a pharmacist, it is natural that he remains calm when examining patients. And the brunette claims that he couldn't know in advance whether she would eat this poisonous flower or not, and for some reason the two of them made a plan. And the guy then asks if she was planning to eat a flower whose poison can be neutralized in order to escape from there. The young man also apologizes and claims that he did not receive a direct answer to his question, so groundless suspicions do not leave his head. And the main character then realizes that Bliss is now sure that Noah is involved in this, after which the girl claims that she accidentally found a poisonous flower during a competitive hunt when she was looking for medicinal herbs, and the pharmacist told her to be careful with them. The guy then claims that she ate it anyway and asks why. And the main character only claims that she wanted to see hallucinations, after which the young man is surprised and asks what she is talking about. And the young lady claims that although it is a poisonous plant, if you pick the right dose, you can see hallucinations, and she wanted to try it out of interest. Well, the young man then asks if she wants him to believe it. After which, the main character asks for what other reason she would eat a poisonous flower. She was just curious, so she tried a little, after which I experienced a pleasant feeling because poisonous plants are better. The young man is very surprised after this, and the main character claims that, in any case, she miscalculated the dose, which is why this small incident occurred, after which she also apologizes and promises that she will not make him worry like that anymore. And, of course, will also stop taking the poison. The guy then asks why she did it and claims that any person can develop curiosity. However, not everyone follows his lead, and did she really expose herself to such danger because of simple curiosity? The girl then claims that it is because life in the estate is boring, and she wants to go to the city and make friends with someone, and also to fall in love, but the guy claims that she can't because she's his guide, after which he gets up from his seat and claims that for her this place is like a prison. The girl then replies that this is not so at all, and apart from slight boredom, there is nothing else that she does not like. However, the guy replies that this is a lie, and it is better for her to accuse him honestly. After all, it would be better than her lying to him, and the girl replies that it is true not so. The young man then asks how often she used the poisonous flower, and was it really for several months, and the girl replies that it was not that long, and it is not that serious. The young man then asks if she got these poisonous flowers from the pharmacist, and the girl replies that she did not, after which she says that she collected a lot during a competitive hunt. Bliss then claims that she gets tense every time he mentions that pharmacist, so he asks her if she is afraid that he will do something to him, but then tells the girl not to worry, because he does not want her to hate this place even more, so he will not ruin her life even more. After which he says that it doesn't matter what happened, and he claims that he didn't even know that his guide had such a weakness for pleasure. The main character then thinks what he is talking about, and the guy only claims that in the future he will not neglect looking after her. The young lady then asks in shock what he is talking about and claims that she really has stopped and that it will not happen again. And the young man claims that all drug addicts say that. And the main character then screams that she really will live a new life and start everything over from this day forward. And the guy at this time only asks what happened after taking the poison, because she was free to go wherever she wanted, and asks if she found the love she wanted. The young lady then wonders why he is suddenly asking, and the guy then just asks if she is interested in poison. After which he answers with a smile on his face that he will go, and the main character says that he is not interested in such things, and asks if it is true. And the young man claims that seeing how his guide is obsessed with him, he also became curious about how good he is, but the main character screams that he is not good at all. After which the guy claims that since she is so worried, she can also keep an eye on him and let her rest while she can, because she has a lot of things to do later. The main character is left alone in the room after this and sighs heavily, after which she thinks how she failed so badly. And she was suddenly considered a drug addict, but it was still 100 times better than if he had guessed that she was trying to stage her own death in order to get away from him. But then the young lady also thinks what it means that she has a lot of things to do, after which the girl thinks whether the guy really fell for her lie or he is pretending. But in any case, the result is the same, and from that day on, she ceases to be a conductor. The young lady also understands that no matter whether her lie was exposed or not, her contract is over after Bliss awakens, and she is finally free and no longer needs to be there. But at this time, someone knocks on the door, and the young lady thinks who it is, because there is no one who could be looking for her early in the morning. Then the maid enters the room, and a little while later, the young lady finds herself in the bath, after which they also dress her and open the door for her. And then the girl is already sitting in front of a luxurious table and in shock asks what is going on there. One of the maids replies that in future, they will prepare such breakfast, and also asks for forgiveness for the inconvenience caused to her earlier due to inept care. And from this day on, they will do everything possible and help her with all their hearts. The young lady then, in even greater shock, asks what they are talking about and wonders why they are suddenly serving her so cordially, as if she were their mistress. After which the main character asks why they are behaving this way with her, and the maids immediately bow and ask for forgiveness and beg the mistress to show them mercy just this once. The main character then screams that they don't even listen to her, and after they sincerely ask her again, the girl says that she understands and asks them to stop. The young lady realizes that she has somehow calmed down, but then she still thinks about what is happening. At this time, someone turns to Mrs. Shana and says that if she has finished her meal, then she should definitely drink the antidote, and the young lady asks what she is talking about. The maid claims that the poison might not have been completely neutralized, so the young master told her to take medication constantly, and her daughter understands that this was all on his orders. Shana understands that after Bliss awakened, people around him began to obey him, fearing his powerful force. Well, she still thinks that Anne changed her attitude too quickly and pretended to be the most devoted servant. The girl also understands that although the guy seemed like a snob to her, she didn't think that after waking up he would be able to raise his status so much, so taking a place in line in advance doesn't seem like such a bad decision for Anne. However, the young lady understands that she does not need to look good in her eyes, but since it turned out that way, the main character now turns to the maid and claims that she wants to set a time for tea in the afternoon, and it should include a cake with seasonal fruits. The girl also understands that it would be nice to enjoy this warm welcome, at least a little. A little while later, the young lady is already telling the green-haired guy that because of the Duke, everyone started treating her nicely. The boy then claims that it seems that young Master Bliss has decided to take care of the management of the outbuilding, and he must have decided that the girl ate the business flower because of the poor care of the servants. And the young lady asks if the boy thinks that the servants are to blame for what happened. The young man with green hair answers that it seems that such a conclusion was taken because the young master was so amazed that he fell into their situation of excess. But he called all the servants from the outbuilding and said that he would no longer accept their negligence in work, and also ordered them to treat the young lady as he did. And the main character then asks why suddenly and thinks, isn't this how people usually behave with their master? But then the guy says that it might be a young lady. He is an important person for the young master, and the main character then thinks about it again. The girl understands that she once tried very hard to become such an important person. She was kind to absolutely everyone and listened to complaints and grievances of other people, even to the detriment of her own feelings and emotions. But such excessive efforts had no return. Not to mention becoming an important person for someone, and she heard only empty words. But the main character understands that after her immersion into eternal sleep, she still managed to become an important person for Bliss. But then the young lady thinks that all is not well. And he thinks nothing that she became an important person for the main character of a hardcore love novel. After all, in the original, Bliss had a crazy obsession with the main character. For example, he secretly used a tracking spell on her so that she could not leave him, and did all sorts of things that went beyond common sense. But the young lady doubts that the same thing will be done to her, and the guy is only worried that she will receive good treatment, after which the girl asks if there was anything else special. And the young man with green hair claims that he had a fight with the young master Michael, and her Naledi asks him what he is talking about, and the guy replies that the young master Bliss suspected that it was he who gave the lady the poisonous flower. Therefore, the second one was so offended that he pursued the young master all the way to the outbuilding. But after their conversation in that room, young Master Michael's behavior changed completely, and his face turned white, and he was also scared to death. The main character then wonders if the guy really scared Michael, but the young man with green hair claims that he scared the young gentleman, and although he doesn't know what happened there, he became scared. The main character then claims that this is true and wonders if it would be safe to say that she is leaving her position as a conductor, but she already wanted to submit her resignation today. But the girl also understands that she can't give up today, so she needs to pull herself together, after which she turns to the young man with green hair and claims that she's quitting today, to which the guy is a little surprised. The main character claims that although the plan failed, but since the young gentleman woke up, her contract as a conductor is over, after which she also thanks the guy for not telling anything and helping her. The young man then replies that it is nothing, and the young lady claims that moreover, thanks to the Marquis, the young gentleman's excess was settled without any particular problems, and she was brought back to life in time, so she would like to thank the guy for saving her. Well, the guy then jumps up that he is fine and claims that Shauna does not owe him anything, and Mr. Carl does not expect anything in return. The young lady then thinks, does he really not expect any reward even after he put in so much effort to get rid of problems, and he is such a good person? Well, the young lady then says that she still wants to thank him, and the guy claims that next time there will be an opportunity to do it, even though Mr. Carl refused the fee. Well, young Master Bliss said he would contact him later, and the young lady is a little surprised. However, she claims that next time she will not be there and that she is stopping her work today. The girl also claims that she has come up with a suitable way to convey her gratitude to the Marquis. However, the young man with green hair then turns to Shauna and says that everything is fine, because even if not everything goes the way she wants, then let the girl not be disappointed. The young lady then thanks him and wonders if it was just a matter of mood, because for some reason she was sure that she would not be able to give up. Well, then the girl thinks what is going on and where does this indecision come from? A little while later, she enters the guy's office and he asks what's going on, and the main character claims that she needs to tell him something. Well, then the white dragon turns to her, and he claims that he has known for a long time that the girl is a person weak in her desires, but he did not realize that she was so weak. But young people nowadays primarily strive for pleasure, not for a healthy life. The main character then realizes that even the white dragon knows, and it is not fair, but she cannot tell the truth because she needs to deceive him too. At this time, the girl turns to the young gentleman and asks if he is very busy, but the guy only asks, "What is it?" And the young lady claims that if he is very busy now, well, then she also looks at the papers on the table and thinks, what can be written for so long, after which she wonders if she can ask the young gentleman what he is writing, and the guy answers that he is writing letters. After all, at the festive banquet he caused inconvenience to the nobles present. The main character then realizes that she is the reason for his excess, after which she apologizes. The guy at this time only asks if she took the antidote, and the girl answers that yes, and she drank everything to the last drop. Well, then the guy sees something in her hands and asks what it is. and the main character hides the paper behind her back and doesn't know what to say. She understands that, of all the things, Biss is busy writing letters, so it would be awkward to give him the application right now. But the girl also understands that it would be fair to ask to terminate the contract, and the young man at this time once again asks what it is, after which the young lady hands over this paper, and she claims that she would like to inform him that her contract as a conductor has ended. The guy then just looks at this contract coldly, after which he asks if the girl is talking about leaving him, and he asks if this is some kind of joke, but the young lady wonders what he is talking about. After all, since he has awakened, he no longer needs a guide. However, the guy only smiles after this and claims that she likes to simplify everything. After which he also turns to Shauna and claims that she can laugh at him and also deceive him like a fool and play with him as much as she wants. But let the girl not joke about leaving him because he will not be able to ignore it. After all, she knows better than anyone how much he cares for her. The main character then understands that Biss has never been so angry with her, but she knows that he has been overcome with anger since yesterday, but the girl understands that he is much angrier today than yesterday. But even so, the young lady understands that whether he is angry or not, what does it have to do with the termination of the contract, after which the main character asks what happened to Togo, and also why she can't say that she will stop being his guide. After all, when the employer wakes up and it is natural that the conductor leaves him, the young man then asserts that he still needs a conductor, to which the young lady is surprised and asks why he needs a conductor since he woke up yesterday. The guy claims that he heard it from the keeper, and the white dragon then claims that he has not yet said that it is necessary to avoid a situation of excess. After his master woke up and fell into their situation of excess, his mana began to move inside him. The brunette at this time claims that he is grateful to her for the efforts she put into him, but he still needs them. The main character is then a little surprised and thinks that this is not the problem, after which she asks if the guy is really talking to the keeper. The white dragon then replies that, of course, you are alive. His master has already awakened, and the young man claims that he had no idea that his parent was so talkative. But in any case, he claims that it's been a long time since the girl held his hand because of this damn mana, so he can't terminate the contract. And now he is tearing up his resignation letter and claims that now he needs a conductor more than ever. The main character is then surprised and looks at the torn paper, and she also thinks that her dream of leaving her job is ruined. The guy at this time only claims that there will be a competitive hunt next month, and he can't participate in it because of unstable mana, so he needs to have time to pacify her. The main character then thinks about this competitive hunt and realizes that in the novel it is said that Shauna falls into eternal sleep while hunting in the year when Bliss turns 20. And since he has awakened, there is no longer any need for what secondary character like her, and she can manage to quit on a competitive hunt. The girl also knows that she will one day stop being a guide and did not worry about it, but then the main character claims that if she stabilizes his mana before the hunt, she will be able to return. After which the guy replies that yes, and the young lady thinks what happiness, and then she is a little surprised and claims that he just said it so simply, although a minute ago he claimed that he needed her, and he spoke so confidently and then even tore up the dismissal document. But the young man then asks why she is upset, after which he claims that he is very angry at the thought that she so enthusiastically wants to stop being his seer, and he is very sad, although she claimed that she was worried about him. The main character then thinks, is he really sad? And he is now saying that he is sad. Therefore, the girl understands that she would never have thought that she would hear such a thing from him because the young man had never said anything like that. So why did he say it now? And did he really change after waking up? Or maybe the guy hit late puberty. At this time, the young man asserts that starting from the next day, she will continue to conduct the direction, and he is waiting for her tomorrow at this time in his room. Then the girl leaves this room and understands that for the first time she will try to carry out the direction properly, but since the guy has awakened, she will be able to do it much better. And it turns out that she will be able to quit as soon as she stabilizes his mana, although this will be a little later than originally planned, but she can rewrite the document on termination of the contract as much as she wants. After which the girl looks at this broken contract and thinks that she has a little more time to hold out. At this time, the dragon turns to his master and asks why he said this. After all, he alone can balance his mana. He also claims to be a dragon and, of course, not an adult yet. But let the guy be patient a little longer because since he has awakened now, even without Shauna, he will be able to control mana. However, the guy then claims that he already said that the problem is that there is little time left before the competitive hunt. And he will say just in case, after which he says that the dragon should no longer talk to Shauna alone. Fluffy then asks why and asks if he really wants to punish her for what she did by making her life terrible. He also claims that he fully understands that the gentleman is disappointed in her, but despite this, he is quite seriously thinking about why Shauna looks so unhappy, which is not typical for her. After which the dragon asks, how about just breaking the contract and going to their good place for treatment? Because if he takes pity on the girl, she will be very happy. But the owner is very generous and can show enough mercy. However, the guy then replies that no, to which the fluffy one is surprised. And Bliss then says that he sees that for the dragon, it makes no difference whose side to take, Shauna or him. The white dragon then claims that he didn't mean it that way, but it's common for a conductor to quit when his employer wakes up. But the young man then claims that he never thought about it and took it for granted that the girl was always by his side. The dragon then asks why he thought so, and the guy just remains silent in response to this, and the fluffy one wonders if that's why he's so stubborn. But his owner has a narrower mindset than he thought. The next day, the main character comes to Bliss's room and says that perhaps they should start the direction. The girl also asks what the state of the young master's mana is, and the dragon replies that the suppressed mana has fully opened up and the master was also able to feel it. The guy replies that everything is so, because now he clearly feels the movement of blood inside himself, and the fluffy one claims that in addition he feels how mana circulates freely inside the owner. But only because the owner was awakened by excess mana, it became unstable, and controlling such mana is several times more difficult. The main character of the income remembers what happened when she woke up and thinks whether it really happened because the guy has poor control over mana. Fluffy claims that by learning to control mana and then using it, the owner recovers faster. But if he cannot take proper control of it, then rejection will occur. Rejection of mana with excess skin and loss of control over it. A person loses self-control, and for which at the moment of loss of control, the owner must restrain himself so as not to waste a large amount of magic. The main character then says that her direction is needed to prevent this situation, and the dragon replies that yes, and mana management will bring peace of mind. A sudden change in emotions or an external stimulus has a great influence on her, and in the end there is only one way left. This is to train yourself so that external stimuli do not have much influence, hey girl, there to help achieve this. Shauna then replies that she understands and will try hard to help her. Well, the guy then just says that he sees that the girl is full of enthusiasm and now she is helping with all her heart, and then she will stop being his guide. Shauna realizes that she has a feeling that the guy is teasing her, and the young man at this time asks what she will do and whether she can help him take control of mana. Fluffy claims that it will be more effective if she conducts the direction by stimulating mana. The girl then asks if this is really to make him lose his composure. And the dragon replies that yes and asks what could upset the owner now because it is necessary to create an impetus for this. The guy then asks if they want to make him angry now, and the main character wonders if this could really be a betrayal by the conductor he believed in, and her feigned immersion in a crippled sleep which caused a situation of excess, or the end of a contract after the difficult performance of her duties and also dismissal. The guy at this time only claims that this is probably a competitive hunt, and the young lady is a little surprised and then asks the furry ones what he is talking about, and does he really not want to conduct the direction. The girl also addresses the guy, but he only takes the young lady by the hand, and the main character understands that he no longer takes hands so freely. At this time, Fluffy turns to his owner and asks what moment made him worry. The brunette claims that he is afraid that he will not be able to learn to control mana before competitive hunting, but he absolutely must take part in it, after which the young lady only shudders. And the guy in shock asks if it really hurts. The main character then tells the young master not to get angry and to feel comfortable, because if he can't take control of the mana before the hunt begins, then he doesn't need to participate in it. Well, the guy replies that no, and he will go there and also show that he has learned to control his mana. The girl then asks who he will show, and the young man with a cold expression on his face claims that he will show it to Duke Huff. The guy also claims that the Duke wants him to go to the mass immersion of monsters into eternal sleep that is being held in the Empire. The girl then thinks about it and understands that this is the same competitive hunt, only on a much larger scale. And when it begins, the families of magicians, knights, and healers go in the direction of one of the cardinal directions. Now, the guy claims that apparently the man wants him to demonstrate his abilities in front of other aristocrats to clear his reputation. Well, the main character then wonders how this is connected with the fact that he must definitely go to this competitive hunt. The guy then claims that the Duke knows that after waking up in a situation of excess, he had an unstable state, so he said that he would personally guide him. Bliss also says that, to be honest, the Duke has already taught him the direction, and he doesn't want him to teach him anymore. And the main character then understands that the guy is afraid of the Duke's direction, and she wonders what it was. At this time, the young man claims that since he refused to study with him, the man set him one condition and most importantly asks me what it is. And the guy replies that on this hunt he must show that he is capable of perfectly keeping mana under control, but if he fails, he will take charge of the direction himself. Shauna understands that apparently those words that now more than ever he needs a guide were sincere, and the young man at this time claims that for this reason it will most likely be necessary to throw dust in the eyes, and the young lady asks what he is talking about. The guy claims that if he can't take full control of his mana before the hunt, then she will have to take part in it too, and the young lady in shock asks what he's talking about, after which she says that she definitely won't do it. But at that very moment, the girl feels a sharp pain, after which she tears off her hand. However, the guy asks if she really finds him so disgusting that she is unable to stay with him for even a day. The main character is then a little surprised, after which she screams that she didn't mean it that way. After all, she is simply very scared of monsters, and he should think about it carefully, because every time she comes to a competitive hunt, she does not get a single good assignment. That's why she doesn't want to go there at all, and she's not at all disgusted by being around him. So she says it so the guy doesn't get the wrong idea. The young man then remains silent, and the main character realizes that she has relaxed a little. After which he claims that, moreover, if she follows him until the hunt itself, the Duke might become suspicious. And the guy claims that if the girl says that she really likes him, she will be able to get through with him without any problems. After all, she is already a beggar in his soul. So there is no need to worry, and he has no other choice but to allow her to be near him. The main character is then in shock and thinks what is going on because first he called her a drug addict, dependent on her curled herbs, and now he is hinting that she is his stalker. After which she cries out, "What about the keeper?" and claims that she will make every effort to help him before the hunt, but if her help is not enough, then isn't the keeper capable of helping him alone? And the fluffy one then says that, of course, but the young man with black hair then interrupts him and claims that until his keeper grows up, he is useless. The dragon then repeats the word useless again and then says that this is the truth, and also claims that he is so useless and that his master did not even give him a name. The main character then turns to the brunette and tells him not to say such terrible words because he did injure his guardian. The guy just claims that he didn't say anything bad about the young lady and wonders why he's destroying the guardian's morale. She then claims that they both desperately need his help, after which the keeper asks if they really need his help, and the young lady answers, of course, because they will need his reasoning and advice in the right situation. Fluffy then asks what she's talking about, and the young lady just asks what he thinks. And will their help with the keeper be enough to stabilize his mana in a month? And the young lady mentally asks Togo to say yes. Fluffy claims that even if you miss some points, the effort should be enough. And the young lady then says that it is good, and then based on the words of the keeper, she will definitely stabilize the guy's mother before the competitive hunt, but he will need to try hard with her, because then they will succeed. The young lady also understands that it will take a lot of effort to raise the morale of the keeper. A little while later, the young man claims that the girl has done an excellent job and that the direction is finished for today. Shauna then looks at her hand, and the young man asks, "What is it, and does it hurt?" The young lady replies that it does not, and understands that she has already gotten used to Bliss's manna, so it does not hurt. At this time, the guy suggests that she tell him if it hurts, and the young lady replies that, of course, because she can't stand pain. After this, the young man only puts on his cloak, and the main character asks where he is going, and the guy replies that he is going to the city. Shauna then, in shock, thinks whether he is going to the city, after which she screams, "Is he really leaving the outbuilding that is the estate, and can he really leave?" Bliss replies that he has received permission from the Duke and is thinking of looking around the shopping street in the city that the ban on him leaving the house has been lifted, and says that he is very lucky, after which they are silent for a while. And the young lady asks if he will go alone, to which the guy replies that yes, after which the girl sarcastically says that he will probably have fun. But now large trade groups have come to the city from all over the country, so there is a lot to see there and it should be very exciting. The young man then replies that the young lady is right and he will tell him about everything interesting that he will see in the city. The girl also says that you can probably meet a lot of young, handsome rich men with good bodies there, after which he turns to the guy and wonders if he's really just going to go alone. After all, how is she? The young man then feels how the girl burns him with her gaze, after which he asks if she wants to go with him. To which the young lady agrees with a smile on her face and states that she wants to and also to get ready right now, so let the guy just not leave. The young man then just sighs and says that it is so wonderful. A little while later, they are already in the carriage together, and the girl smiles brightly. Bliss then asks if she really likes it that much, and the young lady replies that of course, but he is apparently not at all excited. A white dragon is also traveling with them, who also barely ask to go on the trip, and at this time the young man asks what is so exciting about the city. The main character replies that he doesn't need to be shy and he can be happy with her as much as he wants, but the guy is silent for a while, after which he claims that he will be busy in the city and will not be up to fun, and the young lady asks what he will be busy with. And he just replies that he is not going to look for a young, handsome, rich man with a good body, and the main character then thinks that he is good at remembering useless information, so she thinks that she needs to change the subject. After which the girl asks why he went to the city, and the guy replies that she doesn't need to know. And the young lady then just gets angry and understands that of course this is so, but she thinks why he is so cold. A little while later, they find themselves in the city, and the girl realizes that it is much larger than she imagined. There is a wide variety of cafes and stalls, so the young lady thinks how interesting it all is. After which the girl also looks at the jewelry and thinks how beautiful it is. Well, the hedgehog at that very moment turns to her and asks if she wants it, but he doesn't even know if the gems there are real. The girl is silent for a while after that, but then turns to the young gentleman. And he asks if he had any business on the shopping street, after which the young people offer to agree on a time for their meeting. These words can be understood as the girl simply wants him to leave her alone, because he is annoying. The young lady understands that he is tired of asking every time if she wants the thing she looked at. And she looks at all this out of interest. The guy at this time claims that he will worry even more if they separate, and the young lady then sighs and understands that nothing can be done. And also, there is that to pretend that there is no one near her. After which the girl looks at another pair of earrings, and the guy immediately asks if she wants them. However, the young lady then holds the earring up to the guy and says that as she thought they are clean and shimmering. After which, the young lady with a smile on her face asserts that they suit the young master. The guy then just turns away and claims that he doesn't need them to, which the young lady is a little surprised, but then puts the earrings back and understands that it's as expected. After this, the young man sees beautiful amber-colored earrings, after which he presents them to the ear of the young lady and says that they suit her. Well, when the girl looks at the young man, he asks if she doesn't like it, after which Sergius puts it back and says that apparently not. Fluffy at this time claims that in order to express love for his ward, Poppy usually gives him jewelry, but he then claims that it does not have to be as big as a necklace. The guy then replies that no, and he will look for jewelry for his neck, and the young lady is then a little puzzled and says that, to tell the truth, she doesn't wear jewelry often, so she doesn't really want to The girl understands that she was stupefied for a second and didn't know what to say, and at that moment the young man asks what she would like then, and the girl thinks that he is suddenly asking about it, after which she thinks a little and says that she would like at least a man, to which the young man is a little surprised, and the girl continues and claims that she would definitely prefer a man. The guy at this time claims that she does not want jewelry because she rarely wears it and is now talking about a man, and if a man is her constant interest, then she has dated a lot of people. The young lady is then a little surprised and then claims that there was no such thing, and it is not true at all. She also understands that she has only met them in adult novels, and the guy asks why that is. After all, she came to the Duke's house at the age of 15 and now says that she had not met many men before, and the young ladies then scream in shock that no. The guy then asks what she might have done after that. He asks her if she really met with the servants of the outbuilding, and he didn't know about it, but the girl only claims that if anyone heard this when she returned to the outbuilding, everyone would think that she was having an affair with the servants. The guy at this time claims that she made him talk about the main character like that, and claims that she had previously found his behavior strange. Well then, the young lady asks why he so often interferes in her love affairs, because it is her personal life, and the guy understands that every time he behaves like a strict father. The young man is shocked after this and wonders if the girl really thinks of him as a father. After which he desperately repeats the word father a couple more times. The young lady then says that nevertheless, she can handle it herself, and he also has no taste in the opposite sex and he doesn't have an ideal type. The guy then says that she is right, and the young lady claims that it is okay if he does not have it now, but will definitely appear later, and the young man, when he answers that it is good, and at least she will definitely not be his type. After which, the main character just gets angry and asks if there really isn't a single person in his circle that he likes at least in appearance, to which the young man agrees. After which the main character asks what he pays attention to, and the guy answers that he pays attention to internal features, and he is looking for a kind and also strong person who smiles sincerely and gives a smile to others. And also a person who is brave enough to help others with all his heart. The young lady then realizes that this is true, and he does like people like Haley. This girl is the main character of the novel, and her nature is ideally suited to the one described by Bliss, and she is also beautiful in appearance. But now the young lady just turns around and says that since he has good taste, he will meet the right girl, and so to speak, she will find her ideal pair. Well, the young man then asks what she and the main character claim that he called her a flirt, but she is not like that. They claim that he called people like her that way. However, the young lady cries out that she said that she is not like that, and all the men she met were in books. However, at that very moment the young lady realizes what she just said and becomes very embarrassed. The guy at this time asks if she says that she fell in love with the writers, and the girl screams that no, and she looks at the beautiful main characters in the books and falls in love with them. The girl also understands that if he is going to laugh at her, then let him do so. And after that, the guy just smiles and says that's what it's all about. After which he starts teasing the young lady and claims that he is very worried about her because he didn't even know that she was so innocent, and the main character thinks that he should stop already because she is ashamed. Shauna also turns to him and asks him to stop because all the men who appear in the books touch her heart, and the guys answer that yes, and that is why he worries about her. The young man also picks up one of the laws and looks at it, after which he says that he thinks it will go well with his magician's clothes. Shauna replies that pink is a beautiful color and she doesn't argue, but blue would suit him better. The boy claims that he will not wear such a brooch, but she does, after which he places it in the hands of the young lady. And the main character tells the young gentleman to listen to her because he is still trying to give her a gift. However, the guy then replies that no, and the young lady realizes that he spoke too quickly. Well, then the girl also thinks whether this is true and whether he is really ready to try for her. But this was their first time out in the city, and he immediately wants to buy her a gift, to which the young man still replies no. And the main character then only comes closer to him and asks if he really wants to make his guide even happier. The guy then just sheepishly asks Shauna to stop talking nonsense because he came to the city to look for a magical tool for competitive hunting, but the young ladies claim that they have never looked into the right store during their walk. The young man then claims that he will go there now, and they will meet there in an hour, after which the young lady thinks that he has finally let her go. And the white dragon at this time turns to Shauna and tells the girl not to get lost during this time. Well, at that very moment, the dragon appears on the young lady's shoulder, and the brunette claims that he is also not trustworthy. So he will go with Shauna. Fluffy is then very surprised and tells the owner to wait, and also asks what it means that he is not trustworthy, because there is no more reliable keeper in the world than he is. But the brunette at this time only turns to Shauna and tells her not to leave his keeper, after which the young lady asks if she is afraid that she will forget the way, but she claims that the keeper is also seeing the city for the first time. Fluffy only claims that he can instinctively return and can find his owner anywhere, but still thinks about the fact that the guy said that he is not trustworthy. At this time he asks if the young lady heard so that they can go together, and the main character asks if the guy will be okay if he goes alone. However, the young man asks if she is talking about him, after which he says that they will see later, and they say goodbye, and the young lady understands that she is also an adult, after which she moves on, and when she eats something delicious, she thinks that they really do cook delicious food on this street. But when they return to the outbuilding, she will ask to cook such food. Fluffy then answers that yes, and it is a good idea. But then the main character looks at one person and thinks that he is very familiar, and when she looks a little closer, she realizes that it is indeed him. Henry and the young lady are shocked and wonder what he is doing there, and the fluffy one then wonders if this is not the eldest son of the Huff family. The main character then climbs around the corner and watches the guy, and the fluffy one asks who he is talking to, after which the young lady assumes that it could be a friend. The girl also understands that then he must also be from a noble family, but that man does not look like an aristocrat, so the girl wonders if Henry has become friends with someone of a lower status. The man just smiles at this time, and the young lady understands that he is not as closed a person as she thought. The girl also whispers to the keeper, asking if the young gentleman ever crossed paths with Mr. Henry. After he woke up, Fluffy replies that his master came to the estate several times, but he did not take him with him, so he cannot answer the young lady's question, but asks why she is interested in this. The girl then replies that it's just like that, but she herself understands that Henry is sitting in a cafe and freely conducting a conversation, and by that moment he should have developed an inferiority complex because of Bliss, because he mastered ice magic as soon as he woke up. The young lady also claims that she has not seen Henry use nature magic during competitive hunting, and that he is probably not yet capable of it. The girl understands that later Bliss and Henry will have to participate in a mass dive of monsters organized throughout the Empire, and then they will encounter each other for real, and a conflict will flare up. The young lady hopes that before this event there will be no quarrels between them. The girl also understands that they should not cross paths with each other until that day, after which she continues her walk. One of the villagers then asks if everyone remembers how harsh that winter was. He also hopes that they are well prepared for the monster attack. One of the villagers then sighs and claims that the land is already under the control of the Huff family. Another villager notes that he agrees, and that this method of trade is useless. And the main character realizes that she didn't think that the people loved Duke Huff. One of the residents at this time claims that even if they buy such means for self-defense, how can they repel an attack by high-class monsters? And they will have no other choice but to wait for the Duke to return. And he will go to the southern region this year, so no matter what happens in this territory or the nearby lands, he will definitely return. The young lady then thinks about the southern region, and she understands that the main character, Haley, must be there. The girl also understands that in the novel, it was said that after his incompetent guide plunged into eternal sleep, Bliss abandoned other magicians and the very idea of awakening, and ultimately decided to follow the path of a knight. But before joining the guild, he took part in the mass destruction of monsters, although he met Haley. whom he appointed as his new guide, after which he miraculously managed to wake up. The girl understands that if the guy goes to the southern region for a mass immersion in the eternal sleep of monsters, he can easily meet Haley. But the girl did not fall into eternal sleep on the supposed date, and Bliss woke up. The sob-snorting novel had already deviated from its course, so the young lady wonders what she should do if the guy meets Haley and he becomes interested in her. The girl also thinks that even if the guide and his ward do not get along with each other, they may develop a romantic attraction. But no matter what happens, she hopes that these two will communicate well. A little while later, the man already welcomes the beautiful Revenge and claims that their store contains the most diverse and popular accessories from all over the country, so she should not be shy and take a look. The main character then thanks him, after which she looks at the jewelry and thinks that this is really so, because ordinary city accessories are different from these, after which the young lady looks at one of them and realizes that she likes them, and he asks what the price is, but when he finds out he realizes that she is not from Minsk and she cannot afford these earrings. The girl also understands that she was very busy, so she has not yet decided what to give Bliss, and it is his birthday, and of course it would be nice to give him something like earrings. The man at this time claims that Miss has good taste, and this blue gemstone can only be obtained in the western region, which makes it very valuable. After which he also asks if she is familiar with the beach of the western region, because the people who live there believe that the spirit of the sea resides in these stones, so they carry them with them and keep them as an amulet. The young lady then asks in shock if this is true and states that she would like to have a powerful amulet. The man then asks if Miss needs an omelet and if she is in any danger, and the girl replies that no, and she wants to give it to one person, after which the man says that she should definitely buy these earrings, because when she wears them both, her heart and the heart of that person will become much stronger. But they are still very expensive, after which the girl asks what will happen if he goes hunting monsters, and the man answers that it will be hard. Then, the young lady then asks if this is really all that is necessary to save one's own life and protect others. But every time he goes hunting, she is so worried about whether he will return alive that she can barely close her eyes. The seller already tells the miss not to cry and asks how much money she has, after which he offers to advise her on something else. But the young lady only claims that other jewelry is unlikely to be useful because she felt that he needed this particular amulet. The man then asks this and claims that since it is a real gemstone, he cannot sell it at a reduced price, so as not to work at a loss for himself. And trade doesn't work like that because he wants to help Miss, but if he does that, he will return home to his family empty-handed. The girl then understands that she just wanted to haggle, but this man is one step ahead of her, and the fluffy one says that he doesn't have tears in his eyes, so why is he pretending to wipe them away? In the end, the bargaining failed and the man apologizes. The young lady says that nothing happened and thanks him for his concern. Well, one day, someone turns to Miss and claims that he sees how the beautiful and kind lady is sad, and this torments his heart so much, and he hopes that the girl will give him the honor of saving her from tears. The main character then, in shock, thinks what he is talking about, and the dragon does not understand what kind of guy he is. The girl also understands that she did not shed a tear, so why did he decide to save her? After which she claims that everything is fine and she does not need help. The young lady also understands that the appearance of this guy is completely hidden behind the hood, but still, he seems familiar to her. After which the girl finally understands that this is the man who was with Henry. The guy at this time only smiles and then asks to forgive him for his bad manners. He takes off his hood and claims that he is not some strange person, so he asks not to worry. And the main character is shocked and wonders if this is really Prince Fabian. The girl then wonders what the prince is doing there, and the guy asks if everything is okay with her and also how she is feeling because the girl has turned pale, and the young lady understands that it is all because of him. She understands that this man, like Fabian from the novel, has expressive red eyes because in the entire empire, only 2 people have red eyes. These are the prince and his mother. The young lady now says that she is fine, so there is no need, but at this time someone comes up to the young lady from behind and asks what she is doing there. The main character then asks in shock if this is really Mr. Henry. The prince then asks if they know each other. The brunette claims that this girl is his younger brother's guide. His Highness then looks at the girl, and the young lady understands that she really wants to go there but does not know how to escape. The prince then says that this is a surprise and asks to introduce them to each other, but Henry tells him not to do anything funny, while the guy asks if he thinks he will do something. Shauna realizes that these two are best friends since childhood, and now she realized it from their informal communication with each other. The young people also wonder what kind of curse this is. After all, if Fabian had not been dressed like this, she would have recognized him and immediately tried to run away. Henry then asks to be introduced and claims that he is his friend, to which His Majesty smiles, and Henry then points to the young lady and claims that this is Bliss's guide named Shauna. The young lady then realizes that there is a prince in front of her, and if she looks bad, she will not survive, so she just needs to smile. And His Majesty at this time turns to Henry and asks why he did it so indifferently because he did not even mention his name. The young lady then also understands that she does not want him to fully introduce His Majesty. The guy at this time turns to the young lady and asks if he can call her Miss Shauna, and the girl replies yes. And the blonde claims that Mr. Henry also has great generosity like him, and Henry communicates with him so freely because they are close friends. So he asks the girl not to be nervous, after which he also hands the young lady a box. And when he opens it, he also asks her to take it. Then the young lady sees there the very earring she wanted and wonders when he managed to buy it. Henry then asks what it is, and the prince claims that Miss Shauna wants to give a gift to someone dear to her who is going on a competitive hunt. The brunette then asks why she is doing this and whether she is really going to give it to Bliss. After which he also asks whether the girl went into the city alone or with him, and the young lady answers that they came there together. Henry then says that it is good, and he also thought about returning to the estate soon so that they can go together. The main character is then shocked and wonders why he is doing this, and is it really on purpose, while the man claims that he will be leaving for a short while before this, and the prince tells him to be careful. After which he tells Miss Shauna that he really hopes she will not forget about their meeting today and asks her not to refuse the gift. The young lady then thinks that she does not need either him or the jewelry, so let them all just go away. However, she says that he opened his heart to her and this is not forgotten, and even more so if she accepts this gift, she will be left with a bad memory of heaviness in her heart. Therefore she will accept only his kind attitude, after which she leaves with Henry, and he asks where Bliss is now. The young lady answers that he is now in the shop with magic tools. His Majesty at this time only smirks and throws that box. A man selling jewelry approaches a customer and claims that he dropped the gift, but His Majesty claims that he deliberately threw it away. He also says that the guy is a very good merchant, after which he tramples the box with the decoration and says that he was cheating. Sells cheap ore as amulets. Bliss is already standing there with her purchases ready. Then the young lady turns to him and the boy sees that she is with Henry, after which he claims that he did not know that the boy was with his guide. Henry replies that they bumped into each other by chance, and the young lady just smiles and nods. Henry claims that since they have met, they will all go home together in his carriage, but Bliss thanks him and claims that they already have a carriage, so they will go in their own. However, Henry says that they have nothing to fear because he needs to talk to Bliss, so they should go together. The main character then says that since the two of them need to discuss something, it would be better if she goes believing that she will only get in their way. However, Bliss puts her hand on her shoulder and asks if she will interfere, because if so, then let her not talk nonsense. The guy also wonders if she decided to leave him in order to survive herself. And the young lady understands that at least one person must survive. Then the guy turns to Henry and asks if they can talk if Shauna goes with them. The girl then begs him to say no. However, Henry then claims that he doesn't care, after which Bliss says that the young lady should not say anything that might interfere because he doesn't like that. The young lady then agrees and thanks him. And then the guy hands her a bag and the young woman then asks what's in it. The young man replies that these are her favorite cookies, and the main character wonders why he is giving them to her, after which she looks at Bliss. And he just smiles, after which the young lady thanks him for the treat. Then they get into the carriage and head back to the outbuilding. However, the main character feels very uncomfortable sitting there. Bliss then turns to her brother and asks what he wanted to say, but he only wonders why Bliss still keeps the conductor close to her, and the main character then wonders why she suddenly became a topic of conversation. And Henry then claims that the guy has already awakened and no longer needs a guide. The young lady is then a little surprised and wonders if Henry doesn't know about the unstable situation with Bliss's mana. But if Duke Huff knows about it, then the other children should have been informed as well. The girl also doesn't know why this is so, but it's still for the best, because if Henry knew the truth, he would most likely have had a hand in ensuring that Bliss couldn't stabilize his mother. The guy then starts to say something. However, the young lady suddenly interrupts him and claims that she said she would stay with him. The girl also claims that it will be very difficult for her to leave her beloved young master, so she will not stay with him for long, and she begged him about it. Then the young lady looks at the young gentleman and asks if that is so, and then she looks at him and thinks that he will quickly answer yes. The guy then says that it is true, but he couldn't pretend that he didn't know anything. However, Henry then claims that if the girl is so attached to him, then it seems that Bliss treated her very well. The young lady replies that of course. And today the young gentleman even took her to the city, and Henry claims that he simply took her along with him since he decided to go to the city for magical instruments. The young lady then thinks that the guy is absolutely sure that he and Bliss are hiding something, but then she says that this is true, but honestly, he took her with him to buy her a present because her birthday is coming up soon. Henry then asks if this is really her gift, and the young lady opens the cookies and says that yes, even though they look simple, they are her favorite sweet. The girl says that they are really tasty, but then almost spits out the cookies. After which he looks at Bliss in shock, and the young man then claims that he heard that she likes this cake. And the main character thinks that yes, and she said it, but she thinks why now? And Henry then claims that these cakes are enchanted. The young lady then only smiles and says that since her favorite cake is not so easy to find, the young gentleman himself enchanted them. But Henry then asks what's the matter and that it's her favorite candy, so let the girl have it until the end. Shauna replies that she'll leave them to enjoy a little later. The man then thinks that his brother is playing the fool and conjuring up his cakes. But if he broke down with her so much, will he be able to let her go later? The guy then asks if this is what his brother wanted to talk about, and Henry replies that no, and he wants to train with him before the competitive hunt begins. After all, he thinks it is necessary to unite before this event, and Michael used to go training with him as a child, so there is no great need for this. However, this will be the first hunt in which Bliss will consciously use magic. The main character understands that Henry is talking about uniting to prevent an accident during a competitive hunt, and this is necessary for everyone's safety. But the girl also thinks that if Bliss trains with Henry, he might notice the instability of the guy's mana, and besides, if Bliss exceeds the amount of mana she can control during training, he will have an attack and he might injure Henry. Bliss then wonders what his brother means now because when he wanted such training from him, Henry always refused him. And his brother claims that it is because he first needs to reach a minimum level. And the young man then asks like this, after which he thanks for the offer. She refuses. But he claims that this is because he has not yet reached the proper level. Henry then just gets angry and asks what he said and who didn't reach the proper level, after which he turns to Bliss and asks why he is suddenly acting so arrogantly because throughout his entire life he was only concerned with his own interests, and now he has even more ceased to distinguish heaven from earth, and how his brother will offer him training and will also be able to understand when the guy reaches the required level. After which, Bliss says that if his brother wants it so much, then good, and let him find him, and also let him know when he wants to start. When they get out of the carriage, the main character in shock asks why the guy agreed to train with young Master Henry. The brunette claims that he couldn't refuse to beat anyone. No matter what reason he gave, Henry would have rejected it and set a training day. Bliss also claims that training is not important and that it is more important for him to see his brother. But the main character then asks why he decided to warm it up 5. He knew that under no circumstances could he refuse. The young man then only looks away and claims that it is in order to enjoy his facial expression, and the main character is a little surprised. The guy claims that he used to listen to every word of his brother, and when he was a child, he was constantly looking forward to magical training with him. But then he realized that they were not destined to happen, and he was afraid that even if he asked for help, he would simply ignore him. But then his brother himself began to show his interest when he woke up. And the main character then asks if this is really why the guy made him angry, and the young man just smiles and notes that yes, he made him angry as an egoist. However, the young lady then grabs the guy by the hands and asks why he is so selfish. After which he claims that now the young gentleman has the opportunity to behave like this, and the guy asks how. The girl replies that it is easy, and let him show himself at training with young Master Henry, because a truly strong person will find out who he is and will issue a warning not to behave arrogantly towards him anymore. And then the guy says that it turns out that when they got into the carriage, she was worried about training. And the young lady says that this is how it was, but she thinks that she was really worried about training with Henry, because until Bliss woke up, he had to read Henry's emotions. And it would be better if the guy took care of himself to stabilize his mana than to act so self-confidently, so the young lady wants to tell Bliss to be more patient, and the girl says that everything is fine because their young master is stronger than young Master Henry anyway. The dragon also claims that this is true, and in what way is this Henry better than his master, because his master will undoubtedly win. The brunette then asks if they both forgot that his mother is unstable, and the young lady then tells the guy not to worry because he has her. After which the girl takes his hands from hers and claims that it is so that he does not give in to young Master Henry. She will help him. The young man then claims that sometimes her words make him doubt, and these are doubts that she will not always be by his side, but he asks if the girl thinks so. The young lady then looks at her hands, which were just holding the guy's hands, and wonders why she feels strange. The young man at this time claims that she helps him during training, but its meaning lies not only in the use of simple magic, and the young lady then asks what it is. And the brunette replies that this is also martial arts training, and magic is not a panacea, so it is necessary to train combat skills, and since he has no experience in battles, he will be able to learn a lot in this training. And the main character claims that young Master Henry, on the contrary, has enough experience, and if he admits that the guy's mana is unstable, he can use anything to prevent it from stabilizing. Therefore, in order to prevent this, it would be better to show young Master Henry that his mana is completely stable, and if the boy demonstrates mastery of high-level ice magic, then young Master Henry will not doubt anything. The young man then asks if the girl is talking about high-level ice magic, and the dragon claims that he understands what Shauna wants to say, but at the moment it is dangerous for his master to use high-level magic. The guy claims that 1 or 2 times shouldn't do him much harm, and if he trains magic and direction at the same time, he thinks he can slightly expand the boundaries of magic that can be used. The little dragon then says that the gentleman is probably right, and then looks at the young lady and she asks, "What is it?" The brunette then turns to Shauna with a smile on his face and asks her to be his opponent for training, to which the young lady is very surprised and asks why her. And the guy claims that she herself said that she would help him so that he could stand up to his brother, but then the girl screams that she didn't say that she would become his rival in training, and that she would morally support or help in the directions, and she definitely won't become his rival. The dragon then says that modesty is also a virtue, and the girl is not a magician registered in the Association of Magicians because she should be much more confident. The main character then thinks whether he is talking about confidence and whether she will be able to gain confidence or whether she will be able to resist the most powerful boss in this world. At this time, the guy claims that everything is fine and she doesn't need to worry because she only needs to strengthen her physical abilities. Well, the main thing is not the games? Then, in shock, he asks if he is really offering to train with him because now her physical abilities are quite sufficient. Well, the young man then asks if she has forgotten about the day when Michael almost shot her, or if since she has such good reflexes she could have dodged, but he can't save her every time. The main character then realizes that she seems to have misunderstood something and wonders why the guy wants her to be his opponent at training. And maybe from the very beginning he accepted Henry's offer to train her, and the young man at this time asks to take care of him. 2 days later, the girl with a gloomy expression on her face wishes the young gentleman good morning and understands that somehow it turned out that she is now training martial arts. Well, ideally she would like to train only magic. The guy then also wishes her good morning and says that it is warm today, so he asks if she doesn't mind working out outside. The young lady replies that she is fully prepared, so let it come at any time. However, the company claims that first, let her get rid of the tension and relax, because such a mood is not needed during combat training. He also claims to have trained one of the servants who had experience in combat. The guy then claims that he will teach her self-defense, and when she masters it perfectly, she will no longer have to practice, and the girl understands that it is simple, and she will finish with this today. The young lady then asks what he will teach her, and at that moment the guy takes off, after which he grabs the young lady by the hand. And he claims that he will teach her how to leave when she is threatened, after which he tells her to try to leave. Shauna then asks if this is really a workout, and the guy with a smile on his face tells her to try it, and the girl understands that there is nothing wrong with it. After which, she tries to break free but realizes that his grip is almost iron. That's why the girl is shocked and thinks he can be so strong. At this time, the young man only pulls her towards himself, after which the girl screams a little and asks who is threatening in this way. Bliss claims that this is a more humiliating way of immobilizing her body, but the main character screams, "Who would do that?" The young man then replies that it was not him, but that one should not trust others so easily, and that it would be unpleasant if she were immobilized like that. So let her remember this feeling well. But when the young lady tries to do something with her hands, the guy just grabs them, and Shauna thinks how he noticed it so quickly and made it so that she couldn't use magic. And now she must free herself from it without using magic. Therefore, the young lady turns to the young master and asks how she can get out of such a hold, after which the main character pulls the young man towards her, which surprises him and asks what she is doing now. However, at that very moment, the main character hits his nose with her forehead, causing the guy to fall. The girl then screams whether she managed it because she knocked him to the ground, as he said. Bliss replies that she is a good girl, and if she cannot win with force, then she needs to aim for weak spots, and the girl has learned this well. And also, she has a head like a stone, after which the young man rises from the ground and says that even if her head is so strong, there is still no need to love so thoughtlessly, and let her look for other pain points. Shauna! Then she looks at the place between his legs. The young man sees where her gaze falls. After which, in shock, he says that it's not there, and the main character asks if this isn't a weak spot for all men. So you need to kick there and it will be most effective, after which she asks if he agrees. And then he also says that he thinks it would be better to hit him with his knee, but the young lady also tells him not to worry, because if she hits him in a weak spot or makes a mistake, she could take responsibility for his life.